country still ought to be. It was lived not taught, it was earned not bought. Had to put in the work to get to the top, let me tell you. But I think's really gone wrong. These days it's all wannabes singing someone else's songs. Everybody's doing the same damn thing. Where have the rebels gone? 'Cause we don't need another pretty boy singing pretty songs. Fake country boys doing country all wrong. You need another Haggard or a Johnny Cash, somebody chewing backer and whipping ass. I need a preacher, I need a savior. How about y'all? Can I get a outlaw? It don't have to be honky-tonks, boots and Wrangler jeans. It ain't the banjo or the fiddle, no. It's the words and what they mean. If you're gonna talk the talk, you better walk the walk. And brother, that's the truth. So honestly, what would Waylon do? I can guarantee if he was alive today, he'd ask us one more time, "Boss, you sure ain't done it this way." We don't need another pretty boy singing pretty songs. Fake country boys doing country all wrong. We need another Haggard or a Johnny Cash, somebody chewing backer and whipping ass. I need a preacher, I need a savior. How about y'all? Can I get a outlaw?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight past gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we walked were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular amongst birds singing out, yeah, through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Welcome to Inside the Gamecocks, the morning show, presented by the West Law Firm and Resto Pros of the Mid. Part of the Chief Sports Network. Go Gamecocks.
be fine on the mountain.
Consecutive home runs for Carolina.
It is good. It's gone.
He's in. Touchdown.
He's going to score. It's a walk-off. Touchdown, South Carolina.
Well, I have a microphone and you don't.
So you will listen to every damn word I have to say.
Papa Top again. Freak Friday, I'm free again. I got my motor running for a wild weekend. Freak out, yo.
Oh, don't you dare look back, just keep your eyes on me. I said you're holding out, she said shut up and dance with me. This woman is my destiny. She said ooh, ooh, shut up and dance. Don't you dare look back, just keep your eyes on me. I said you're holding back, she said shut up and dance with me. This woman is my destiny. She said ooh, ooh, shut up and dance with me.
All right, greetings and good morning. Welcome aboard. Welcome home inside the Gamecocks, the morning show and the show today. As a matter of fact, the trio is back together. Presented by our friends at Resto Pros and also our friends over at the West Law Firm. Go West, young man, not East. WestlawFirmSC.com. Resto Pros. Hopefully none of you had any storm damage yesterday, but somebody may have. And if you did, or you know somebody who did, you go to Resto Pros of the Midlands because Jeff Sturgis is the man. And we all know that. And we're very thankful for him. Jeff Sturgis, shouting out you, my friend, Resto Pros of the Midlands, Resto Pros Midlands SC.com. We like to look good. That means you have to dress well. And if you want to dress well, you go to Gamecock Traditions. And they present the Gamecock Report.
What's going on in Gamecock Country? It's the Gamecock Report presented by Gamecock Traditions on the morning show. Visit GamecockTraditions.com or in Lexington and get your gear and apparel today.
It is 10:05, and it is the Gamecock Report presented by Gamecock Traditions. And to Jay Frew, that is the point of production. That is one of the things that sets us apart. We know that. We say that humbly but proudly. We always want you to be happy to be here. So thank you for saying that. It takes hours to put that crap together, just so you know. Hours that we don't have. All right. Carolina is on the road. They're in Gainesville. Speaking of on the road, Stuart Lake is, and that's where he'll do his Friday appearance coming up at 11 o'clock from a vehicle somewhere along I-95. Doesn't matter. He's good wherever you put him. Will Carolina be good in Gainesville? We're going to find out. Josh Gunther gets it tonight, and he'll oppose preseason All-American Liam Peterson. It's a 6:30 first pitch on the SEC network. I sent the baseball bulletin over. It will be poorly edited by JC here soon, and it'll be in all of your inboxes before you know it. I'm just kidding, JC. Hang in there. We got notes coming. Softball's got Boston College in town this weekend in a 3-game series. They split their midweek. They went to Coastal and 10-run ruled them on Wednesday. Good thing, because they got beat by Duke on Tuesday, coming off of a series sweep at the hands of Texas, and their offense had been really stuck in neutral, or a little bit of reverse. Boston College is just 9-15. Good weekend for Carolina to get it going. I got a feeling Ari Rhodey is going to say, all right, y'all just hop on. Let me get this thing going here. Keep an eye on the Gamecocks superstar first baseman. It is go time in Fayetteville. Phil, you like to run, don't you? No?
Sure.
Okay. Well, you like to go on beer runs.
Right. I mean, run is
Runs
broad
very,
term.
Yeah, very, very broad, especially on the weekends. You got to run to the store. Well, Carolina's actually running. The track and field team is in Fayetteville for the 2026 NCAA Indoor Championships. You can watch the event, ESPN Plus. It'll make you feel fast. Mostly prelims today, tomorrow, heavy finals. How about this? This is pretty cool. Carolina's got the 5th most female entries in the country. Go Gamecocks. Men's tennis has 7th-ranked Mississippi State tonight at 5 o'clock at the Carolina Outdoor Tennis Center. Now, JC, back when you were playing tennis, did you ever break a racket or no?
PE in 8th, 10th grade would probably be the last time I played. My wife was a high school tennis player. She played for the Andrew T-Bolts and went over there with the kids one fine day a couple of years ago and hit it around. And I think I almost broke my stepson's face because I line drived it right into his face, but everything else went out of the park. I guess I'll swing it like a baseball bat, like I do with my golf clubs.
Yeah. It's
terrible.
Hard to break that habit. Yeah.
Anything with a stick, other than the year I hit the 6 dingers, which I'll never forget.
Yeah.
I can't. I couldn't be a lacrosse. I mean, even like this stupid pickle thing that people are doing, pickleball.
Oh,
I couldn't rock that, dude. Anything that requires me to have something in my hand to hit something is just not working. It's not going to work.
You ever see the movie Fun with Dick and Jane?
Yes. Not a long time ago, though.
We're in a real pickle here, Dick.
After yesterday's episode of the show, that's very appropriate.
That is good. Yes.
or the 2 days ago. I think the title of the show was Just Go by Richard.
Yeah, by Richard. I learned the hard way not to pick on the pickle players. I did that. I was just openly one day, me and Smoke were I was railing on it. Smoke was laughing. I couldn't figure out why until Kristen came around the corner with a frying pan in her hand because she is in a pickle league now. I said, boy, you got old quick.
Some people just live by it.
She loves it. She plays with all these little old ladies in their neighborhood.
That's fine. That's fine with me. I mean,
well, Smoke loves it. He's like, hell, it gets her out of the house. I don't want to deal with it. All right. Men's tennis, 23rd ranked Ole Miss, also in town this weekend on Sunday. Mississippi State's really good, by the way. That's tonight, Mississippi State. We got off track. Women's tennis fell yesterday at 9th ranked Texas. They don't have to go far. They'll just travel. Where's College Station from Austin? That's west, right?
East. It's kind of northeast. You go
east.
Back toward Houston. If you're coming from Houston, west, Austin is east.
Yeah.
You can fly into either airport.
All right. Well, they'll head east to take on the 5th-ranked Texas A&M Aggies tomorrow. Do you think that the Aggies male cheerleaders cheerlead for the tennis team too, or just football?
Oh, I hope so.
Okay.
No comment.
And we've got a Hall of Famer. He was already in a couple Hall of Fames, but congratulations to Todd Ellis. Todd Ellis, I will openly tell you that I voted for him, and Todd Ellis got in. He will be a part of the 2025 class, the 13th annual enshrinement of the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame. This will take place on April the 16th at Hotel Hartness in Greenville, right down the street from Mad Dog. Here is the bio for Todd. Todd Ellis has long been one of the most recognizable voices in South Carolina football. As a quarterback at the University of South Carolina, Ellis rewrote the Gamecocks record book, throwing for 9,519 yards and setting more than 20 program passing records. There's one that he set that they didn't include in the bio, and I'm not going to read it because he's in the Hall of Fame, but we all know what it is. Following his playing career,
I mean, records are records, right?
records are records. Ellis transitioned into broadcasting and became known as the voice of the Gamecocks, serving as the radio play-by-play announcer since 2003. His passionate calls have narrated many of the program's most memorable moments, while his work in sports media has strengthened the connection between the Gamecock community and generations of fans. So congratulations to Todd. This is a pretty neat class, guys. It's one that is neat personally because there are two local boys, one who I grew up watching play at Wando High School, Dexter Coakley, who went on to App State and then spent a long time in the NFL with the Dallas Cowboys, and a guy that South Carolina wanted but couldn't get, A.J. Green, wide receiver out of Somerville, went to Athens and then went on to the NFL and played with Cincinnati and Arizona. A.J. was special. Very good player.
He was so good. One of the best I've ever seen.
His hands were glue.
I had the privilege of watching the Burns Somerville state championship game when he was a senior and Marcus was a sophomore or freshman. So both of those guys were on the field at the same time. Burns beat the snot out of them, but the one thing they couldn't do was stop A.J. Green, and Reed McCullum was his quarterback.
Yep.
You guys remember him, but that guy,
yeah,
because Sidney Rice was at Carolina kind of when he was coming up, and he was like Sidney Rice 2.0, and that was one of those. Spurrier didn't do a good job recruiting him. Mark Richt did, and so he went to Georgia.
Yeah, he was he was special and a really good kid too. He's a good guy. Reed McCullum's a great guy, by the way. He's like Reed's big into surfing and stuff now.
He had an arm, good arm.
Yeah, Reed he did. Jerry Butler also in from Clemson. Jerry Butler, one of the best wide receivers in Clemson history in the 70s. Let's see. Bob Jeter is a legacy inductee from Union, South Carolina, University of Iowa, and the Green Bay Packers. How about that? He was the most valuable player in the 1959 Rose Bowl. Man, that's something there. And then we got, there's, they always have other awards and things like that that are presented. One this year is very notable, and we haven't gotten to it this week, but she will get her flowers from us today. The Queen and First Lady of South Carolina football, Emily Beamer, has been named the 2025 Humanitarian of the Year. Emily is recognized for her compassionate leadership through the Beamer Family Foundation, which supports children in Richland County by addressing educational and medical needs, helping young people overcome challenges and pursue brighter futures. The Beamers do a remarkable job with that. Shane and Emily have big hearts for a lot of people. And in addition to making award-winning cookies, Emily spends her time making lives better, and she'll be recognized for it. And in front of a room full of men this year, Emily will get to stand up there, and she will probably be the star of the show if I had to guess. So congratulations to Emily and Shane and all of their family. That's a really, really neat honor.
Yeah, people go.
That's it. Gamecock Traditions. Get your gear today. GamecockTraditions.com. Thanks, JC. Go ahead. Sorry.
That gets understood. That doesn't get talked about enough. What the Beamers do, especially Emily behind the scenes. I mean, we talked to Derek Moore's wife about, I guess, a year or two ago about a project she was heading up, and Emily Beamer was heavily involved in that. They do a lot with their foundation. I mean, and look, most coaches that have coached here do attempt to get involved with the community. I'm not putting, Steve Spurrier's name's on the practice facility because he gave some money to do it. Mm-hmm. Will Muschamp donated money back when they were building the Long facility. But Beamer, the one thing about Shane Beamer is he backs up his talk with regards to who he is as an individual and a person. Mm-hmm. I can't say it's in football that they always do, right? We remember the interview after the first quarter of the A&M game, but that's football. That's a sport. what's more important is who he is as a person and a good person. And he walks the walk with that.
He does.
I mean, he and his wife both, and they're great people, and just very happy for her. Jerry Butler is a Gamecock killer. You guys remember we're of the era where the catch to us or the push off is called the push off.
Push
It's
off.
the 2000. But that was really in Clemson lore the catch part 2.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, in 1977, that was George Rogers. George Rogers wasn't quite. I think he was redshirting that year, but Carolina.
No, that was George's freshman year.
Was that his freshman year? He was fullback that year, wasn't he?
I believe
there was one
so,
of those years he was a fullback. Anyway, so Carolina came storming back against Clemson, took the lead in the fourth quarter, 27-24, and Steve Fuller from Spartanburg,
mm-hmm.
who was on the 85 Bears as the backup and actually has a line in Super Bowl Shuffle. Steve Fuller, my dad used to talk about him. Steve Fuller's the greatest quarterback of all time. So my dad was a huge Spartanburg Vikings homer, of course. It was real awkward, Super Bowl Shuffle line. Anyway, I digress. So, Clemson back in those days was known for running the ball and stuff right before the Danny Ford era, but they somehow got the ball down the field, and Fuller threw a great pass to Butler, and he scored, and they won after blowing the lead 31-27. So that game lives in the lure of the rivalry, and that's what Jerry Butler's kind of known for on the Gamecock end. But Hall of Famer from tiny Ware Shoals, South Carolina.
Ware Shoals.
Yeah.
Shoals.
I'm pretty sure that Brian Batson is from Ware Shoals, South Carolina. Do y'all know who Brian Batson was? He was
right off the top of my head, no.
He was a third baseman at the College of Charleston in the 90s. He played with Monty Lee and Austin Alexander and that elite group of guys that are now the faces of baseball in this state. And I'm pretty sure Brian was from Ware Shoals, South Carolina. Big old left-handed hitting third baseman. He was kind of like Brian Busher before Brian Busher got to South Carolina. Big old jacked up dude who could field it cleanly but hit from the left side and hit it a very, very distant country mile. So if anybody knows Brian Batson, you tell him we said hello because he's a great guy. Speaking of tiny towns, I want to do this again, Phil. We mentioned it yesterday. It's getting its run on social media, and we need to keep searching. We're looking for Porter, the missing Boykin Spaniel in Barnwell County. He was last seen on Cornelia Ann Road in Blackville last weekend. He's alive. Somebody has got to have seen this dog, who is very housebroken, as sweet as they come, that's roaming around. There is a reward. So if you know something, you could put some money in your pocket. $500 is the reward right now. If you follow me on social media or our accounts, we've put it out there. Please go. If you're on Twitter, please go retweet that. Somebody knows somebody who's seen this dog. We got to find this dog. There's a very special person looking for this 10-year-old Boykin Spaniel, and we're gonna help them find him. So let's figure it out. Call mom and dad and grandma and anybody else. If you got family in the Blackville area, the Nices area, the Barnwell area, anywhere over there, and let's find this dog, Porter. So keep it up. Get out, get your search boots on and your flashlights and your heat drones, seeking drones and all that stuff. Let's find Porter, okay? We got to figure it out. Carolina basketball has. The season's over, as we know. I tell you what, guys, I really enjoyed that conversation yesterday with Matt Anderson. We kind of elected to say, hey, look, it's the day after the season. Let's just talk about it. Let's just, and Matt's pretty good at this from a basketball standpoint. He's got pretty good perspective. So kind of went through the roster. It seems like basically anybody with eligibility wants to return and play for Lamont Paris. Now, I don't think all of them are going to return, and I think that Matt kind of laid it out yesterday. There's a couple of guys who probably need to find new homes. But did y'all catch kind of the overview of that? Like, this could be the core group that comes back. We don't know. We don't know anything yet, but this kind of core group.
We talked about it with Alex.
Mhm.
Alex and Phil have longer lists than I do. I have one. EJ Walker's the only one I would pay to come back. Period.
Okay.
Yeah, that's and that's just because he showed promise and hustled the whole year and all that. Now, look, you have a budget, you have to balance it out. Some of these guys want to come back for, no raise or no more money. That's fine. I mean, depending on how much they were making last year, but there's not a single player, especially Elijah Strong. I mean, I wouldn't, because he's not going to, are you going to have him come back and be your 10th or 11th guy? Because that's what he is in the SEC. I mean, let's not get all caught up in one time he scored 30 points in a game. That guy shot them out of big moments more than anyone else. And I don't mind saying it because, as you pointed out, was it Wednesday to Mike? Unfortunately, we're in an era where these guys are getting paid. And after digging into how much some of these basketball players were getting paid last year, I'm stunned at the level of effort, the selfish play at times, and just the boneheaded type of, that's not Lamont Paris basketball. You've got to be smart to play. He's got a good system. So I wouldn't, I'm sorry, I wouldn't pay him to come back. Eli Ellis, not very much. I think he's got some promise, and he did hustle. The rest of them, no, not me. That's me though. Asandiko, no. And I say that not saying they all should be gone, but I just would not expend a great amount of resources to retain them. EJ Walker, I think, is going to be a pretty good ball player.
Well,
and you both can disagree. I mean, I sound like I feel very strongly about this, but that's just my take.
Yeah, I do disagree, but I disagree with a variable in there. I'm always a believer in you got to keep a core group and you have to develop them. As I pointed out yesterday, kind of passive aggressively and admittedly, it has happened before. There was a time and era where there wasn't the transfer portal, where you could take a group of kids that didn't play very well and didn't have good results overall collectively as a group in any sport, and you did this thing. Starts with the letter D. You develop them, and I think that there's enough in this young group of kids, and I think that there's a reason why he wanted to play all those guys as many minutes as he did, or multiple reasons. One, but probably because they actually earned it over some of the veterans, but also I think I don't know if Lamont would admit that publicly, but I think he kind of saw the writing on the wall. It was like, all right, well, if I can get these guys as many minutes as I possibly can, we're going to be better off for this down the road. So I'm a big believer. Like, if you've got 5 freshmen, you got 5 guys who are freshmen. You could realistically have those same 5 guys, although it's rare these days, as juniors, or God forbid, as seniors, where they actually all stuck around for a few years. And I just don't see many ways that gets worse, not better. In saying that, you brought up the variable, which you're spot on about, which is money. And so what a lot of this is going to come down to is, does the shoe fit, right, guys? So, I mean, you could have, all these guys have agents or representation. I don't know if they're actually agents or not. But you could have guys saying, well, here's the X number of dollars is what I'm asking for. Well, whatever formula that Lamont Paris and Kerry Rich and his staff and whomever else they add to this staff come up with as to how they're going to spend their NIL moving forward, that is going to be more. That number might be a little bit too rich, right? And that's fair to say. I mean, that's how things work in the big leagues. That's how they work in the NFL. That's how they work in the NBA. Man, I'd love to keep this group right here together, but I can't. We don't think that this guy is worth that amount of money, and we can go replace him for a lesser amount of money, which allows us to go out and do this, this, and this when it comes to constructing our roster, because they're going to have to add a bunch of players. But the flexibility in that, and JC, I don't know if you've got we probably don't have much intel on this just yet. I don't know that they haven't even, if they have had their exit meetings, we don't know what's come of that yet. But I'm not so sure they're going to fill out a 15-man roster. Matter of fact, I don't think they will. I think they're going to fill it out with 12 or 13 guys to be able to afford better players, as opposed to just having a full slate of dudes on the bench. So he might really like 4 or 5 guys, or even more than that, and say, I really want to move forward with this core group of players. I think that's going to be better for us. But finances might ultimately win out. Now, in saying that, you got to go to the portal, and generally when you're going to the portal, it's not going to be cheaper. So you might be able to get that guy less than a guy in the portal. I don't know. We don't really know what that's going to come down to. But that will be a major factor in constructing this roster, whether we want to keep 1 guy, 3 guys, 5 guys, whatever the case is. The money at the end of the day is also going to be a big-time deal in this.
Yeah, I mean, there need to be honest conversations had. We've heard it with football. I mean, some of these guys who just have underperformed. There are now not necessarily public ones, but baseline metrics for, different skill sets and different ages of players that could be comped in regards to how some of these, the freshmen are what I'm more concerned with, because I think that was where my emphasis was on the core group was, listen, you have these young kids here who, if you can continue to develop them at South Carolina, then that's what you need to do. But you also, in today's day and age, even with, let's say, another 40%, 50% added to the current NIL budget, need to say, listen, we paid you a ton of money to get here, or however much it was, and we're willing to give you this amount and take it or leave it. And it should be a negotiation between the parties. But I mean, you don't need to overpay for anybody sitting on this roster, period. Your primary focus needs to be in the portal.
Yeah. Is there, JC, I guess I know what your response is going to be here, but we'll see which direction you go.
Okay.
I mean, generally, when you're in the program, I say generally, this is kind of a new phase. But I guess players who are on current rosters in college athletics, if they plan to return, not all of them, but a lot of them probably say, well, I want more money. Is there anybody who is eligible to return that is worth more money than what maybe they were afforded this year? I don't know that you can get away with paying anybody less. Hey, look, I gave you this. We'll pay you less than what we paid you last year. That's probably going to be a no for the player. But is there anybody who's worth more?
I think EJ Walker.
You do? Okay.
I mean, yeah, and I think like in a situation like with Eli Ellis, he's got a lot of like legit outside income, NIL, like legit NIL income, because he's an influencer.
Yeah.
And so that may counterbalance that. I want to make it clear. I'm not hating on any of these younger guys. I just think that it's and I am Mr. Development. I always say in football all the time, players can get better, and they do, and they do in basketball too. I think with the way basketball is right now, though, and again, I've said this before, going back to like the Final Four year under Frank Martin, the transfer culture in basketball has been with us since way before the portal. And it just, you dumped gasoline on a charcoal grill and when the portal started happening, when the money got involved in that sport. And I just don't think, I think you got to make sure you can maximize your budget. Now, what I floated yesterday was, and if some of these guys wanted to be a part of that is, you got 15 spots. So, and you got reportedly between 10 and 12 million. I think you take you call it the last 5. You take 5 spots and you're like, okay, these are going to be 250 a piece. And you go bargain shopping for those guys because what you're saying is these guys are probably not going to play. We're going to do the best we can so they can come in here and compete for minutes. But they're good enough if we're in an emergency to, they're not walk-ons and they're not going to get overwhelmed. And you go scour low majors, D2, and you find guys like that. You have Marcus Johnson coming in from the high school ranks as well. Now, with that group, if some combination of Grant Polk, Hayden DeSimian, Boo Yarma, Cam Scott are in those plans, then I'm perfectly fine with that. I just don't think because next year, basically, without even having to read between the lines too much, is make the tournament or you're gone. So I don't think there's time or resources to bump up anybody's pay based on what might be down the road. And kind of the culture of basketball is pay me, no matter what. I'm not saying it's not in other sports either, but basketball, like I said, it's been that way for a while. Now, look, do I like Grant Polk as a player? Yes. I think he and Ellis both are gifted shooters. They just got overwhelmed the first year physically. And Eli, to his credit, hustled up and down the court, even when he was off and scored 0 points. That guy hustles, I don't like that about him. I'm just saying what he accomplished this past year, social media following or not, is not worth a significant bump in pay when you can go pay somebody else.
Yeah.
But if you want to do it that way, I'd be fine with it. These older guys, Asandiko, Butler, Strong, who I mentioned, I wouldn't keep any of those guys. I mean, no matter what, and I'm pretty sure that you'd be kind of shocked at what was forked out, and that's why I've also said it's more than an NIL problem. Your Oklahoma Sooners, and I got to give you props, JB. You started saying they were a bubble team. Well, they're right there now. Did you see what they did to Texas A&M last night?
Sure did. Yeah.
I mean, okay, so it's been reported by their insiders, OUinsider.com, people that know. And I think they were you're thinking about firing Porter Moser. And I think those guys were making a case against it. But that's the number. Oklahoma and South Carolina spent the same. And you cannot look at Oklahoma's roster and South Carolina's roster and say, oh, pretty close. Not even close. And I know the Gamecocks beat them, but that was a game where Nigel Pack missed everything he threw up, as Derek pointed out. And also only 2 of their players even tried, which happens in basketball too. So I just, I think given the stakes of next year, you just got to fish quickly or cut bait. You've heard of the term fish or cut bait. Mm-hmm. You got to fish quick, speed fishing, right? Put that worm on the hook. Let's catch a big fish. Let's move on. Let's get on the John boat, boys. Let's catch a big old fish. And the good news is this year, unlike last year when they opened the portal in the middle of the NCAA tournament, basketball made a smart decision as a sport to push it back till after it's over, April 7th. So Lamont Paris has time to add to his staff if he needs to, make staff changes if he needs to, and then make decisions on these guys. And he said the other day it would happen right away. Just my personal opinion, not trying to trash anybody, is you've got to get rid of some of the overpriced talent on the current roster so you can fill it up with a team that can go compete next year, for not just compete and get better from this year, but make the NCAA tournament. That's a big leap when you're 6-32 the last 2 years in the SEC.
Great point. Great points all the way around. I'll make one. We got to step aside for a break. It's 10:37. We got to pay the bills or they cut the lights off, as you all well know. Head to Palm Casual. If they do cut the lights off, the sun is shining outside, so at least that'll be bright. You can sit out there comfortably on your patio furniture. Head to palmcasual.com or go see them, one of 4 locations in South Carolina. And remember, they are pollen resistant. Just set it and forget it. You might have to rinse it off or put some bleach on it, but it'll be fine at the end of the day. We put bleach on Phil, and look at him. palmcasual.com. We'll step aside. We'll continue with some hoops. We got plenty of baseball coming up with Coach Lake. We'll get into some football today as well. Friday, the 13th. Uh-oh. We'll be right back.
It's back. Tartan Day South, a celebration of Celtic culture built by Culpeper Wood. I promise you don't have to be Scottish to enjoy South Carolina's most unique family festival. Experience Highland games, music, dancing, animals, crafts, a car show and a parade. Kick off your weekend of adventure with a Celtic concert on Friday and a full day of affordable fun and festivities on Saturday at the historic Columbia Speedway. March 27th and 28th. Get your tickets and more information at tartandaysouth.com. Come see what you've been missing.
For over 80 years, the West Law Firm has delivered hard work, honest advice, and real results, and is a law firm built on family that delivers for families in South Carolina. They represent clients through personal injury, criminal defense, car, DUI, and boating accidents, and more. Built on blue collar, representing blue collar, the West Law Firm understands the importance of dedication and experience needed for representation, but with a foxhole mentality. Visit westlawfirmsc.com. westlawfirmsc.com. Get comfortable with our team and learn why we should be a part of yours when you need us. Go Gamecocks!
If you have experienced water damage, storm damage, fire or smoke damage, or need mold remediation, you need Resto Pros of the Midlands. Visit RestoProsMidlandsSC.com and go Gamecocks.
We are officially opened at the all-new JT's Kia. You've got to see it to believe it.
We're serious about making your buying experience fast, friendly, and hassle-free.
Get grand opening 0% for 60 months on the new JT's Kias. Put no money down and get my million-mile warranty. I'm so excited. Savings up to $10,000.
I'll throw in $5,000 over book value for your trade. That's a grand opening for the record books.
Hurry to the all-new
JT's Kia.
Hey folks, it's Mike Morgan for Ryan Brewer Fence. That's right, you know the former Gamecock legend as a terrific college football player. Well, I know him as that too. I also know him as the guy that runs a great business. Whether you're in the market for a fence, railings, columns, or anything in between, their craftsmanship, their experience and service, second to none. Residential and commercial fencing and railings. Rest assured your job will be done with an unparalleled level of expertise, and it's done on time, and they do it right the first time. Again, you're not going to do any better than Ryan Brewer Fence. The website is ryanbrewer.net. Set up an appointment today. Tell them Mike sent you.
I said, oh, Lord Jesus, it's a fire. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Emergencies and accidents happen. When you're in the middle of a fire or water event, all you want is for things to return to normal as soon as possible. Resto Pros of the Midlands is with you. RestoProsMidlandsSC.com. Open 24/7 when you need them. Quality that is guaranteed.
What's up, Gamecock fans? This is Ethan Petrie from Land O'Lakes, Florida. Go Cox.
It's a beautiful morning. I think I'll go outside for a while and just smile. Just taking some clean, fresh air for get inside. If the weather's fine and you got the time, it's your chance to wake up and plan another brand new day. Either way, it's a beautiful morning.
Yeah, you know it's March Madness when you pull up your Twitter account and you catch a video of a group of about 10 nuns playing basketball in New York City on an outdoor court in their nun attire. They want none of that. I'll tell you that. Speaking of wanting none of that, all right, it's debate time. Let's see.
All right.
Go Frank. Man, I was happy for Frank Martin yesterday. He looks like he's enjoying the lobster rolls up there in at UMass. I think that's in Amherst, right? Amherst, Massachusetts. Frank, I know, had some health issues and lost some weight, and I think he finally said, "The hell with this. I'm going to be in a different part of the country." You had the beef out west, and he's from South Florida, so he's had all the Cuban food. He's had the South Carolina seafood. Now he's up there getting the Northeast seafood, getting the lobster. That was neat to see, to be honest with you. I was really pulling for those guys. I hope they win the tournament so they can get in. And even more so than that, I mean, this is going to sound harsh. This is just like crazy lunatic sports fan coming out in me here. I do not want Miami of Ohio in this tournament. Because and here's why. It's nothing personal against the kids. I want any kid to be able to enjoy and experience the NCAA tournament. Their resume is awful. It is terrible. I mean, they are now at 64 in the net rankings. Do y'all know that their strength of schedule was the third from the worst in all of college basketball? It was like 365th out of 368 teams or something. I mean, come on, man. And all those 2-point wins that they put, no, they should not be in there. And I hope that they're not. Lenardi's got them on the last, or is it the last? Yeah, the last four.
Yeah, he just moved them to the last four
byes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So here's the deal. Oklahoma is still playing. Well, Texas, Missouri, and SMU are all last four ins, according to Joe Lenardi. Okay? Texas and Missouri being notable here in the SEC. Well, their season's over. I mean, they're not playing. The only team that is on the last four in line that is still playing is VCU. And Oklahoma, he's got as the first team out. So Oklahoma has moved up. Auburn, by the way, is not going to make the tournament. I think they're going to be left out of this thing. So if Oklahoma keeps winning, that's going to knock out an SEC team, I would imagine. I mean, maybe SMU. I can't see VCU by virtue of one loss falling all the way out, I guess, unless maybe Oklahoma went on to win the whole thing. But I still think VCU would be in ahead of Texas and SMU. So if Oklahoma keeps winning, they're just going to flip-flop with probably Texas, maybe Missouri. It's going to knock out an SEC team.
That's still 10 bids for the SEC.
Unless the committee has the kahunas to say, yeah, you know what? We agree with that JB. That guy, very handsome fella, great hygiene, smart, beautiful family. That guy down there in South Carolina, he's right. We need to keep the Red Hawks at home this year. Let's send them to the NIT. Can't go to the CBI. They canceled that due to factors out of their control, according to them.
They need to get a second term. They need to get together and do the second tournament, and
it needs to be the CBI NIT.
It with NIL money involved. The NCAA has just destroyed the NIT. I mean, with their stupid rules and then their insistence on moving it to Indianapolis.
It's going to really destroy it when they go to 150 teams.
Derek Scott had the best. I just defer to Derek Scott on that. I agree completely with him. Miami of Ohio is a 93rd in Ken Palm. They're 64th in the net, behind. I mean, Carolina's only two spots below them in Ken Palm. I guess that matters. I like wins, and I think that one of the things that got me about the net is, and the net was created by a bunch of college basketball journalists who love Ken Palm and love winning pretty, and that seems to matter more than winning. They took the win and loss component out of it. So unlike the RPI where that who you beat and where was important. So, if they get left out, I'm not going to cry. But I think you go 31-1, find a spot for you, right? Unless there's just like so if it came down to Auburn and Miami of Ohio for the last spot, which I think Auburn's out. But if it came down to Auburn and Miami for the last spot, and you go through and you look at who all Auburn played versus them, and then you kind of say, well, what if you play the what if game? What if Auburn had this schedule? Then yeah, I'd probably go with the War Eagle over that. But if you're talking about adding another mid-major log to the fire, the team has 6 losses out of the West Coast Conference or something, I don't know about that. But only for that reason would I put them in. And again, I'm hypocritical when it comes to two sports. I mean, football, I'm Mr. Development and give them time and all that. Basketball, I'm like, just kick them all off the team. I didn't say that, but I was like, no, it's not worth the time. Football, I'm all like schedule matters, right? Losses are not as important as schedule. But basketball, I'm like, well, wins should matter, and that's because I frankly despise the fact that in college basketball, no matter how scientific it is, and it's proven that teams tend to do better the higher their kin palm and efficiency and all that. But gymnastics is judged on being pretty. Equestrian, as our boy Russell told me yesterday, is judged on how you look doing it. Swimming and diving, not swimming, is based on that. Greg Louganis wanted to be pretty. College basketball is about winning and losing. That's what college team sports are about. And when you devalue that and put more emphasis on how you play rather than the result of the game, I think it cheapens the game. Now, I know I'm wrong, and a lot of people out there are saying I'm an idiot, and I'm prepared to wear that. I'm prepared to wear it. Matt Anderson's probably going to kill us, but kill all of us. No, Matt was anti-Miami of Ohio, Jamie.
Yeah, he was on JB's side. Yeah,
he's probably killing me later, but it's just,
okay, kill him.
Okay, kill him. You just shot my best friend.
She touched my leg.
She touched my.
Yes.
Oh man. Anyway, so that's that. I'm just, I've been kind of, I just don't. I'm like, look, winning and losing is the object of the game. I think
play to win the game. Everything you say from here on out, I'm going to just movie quote in between.
I am all for strength of schedule and metrics and everything mattering. But when you just don't factor wins and losses in at all, and that's what they did with the net, because they had winning percentage in there and they just took it out. Oh, we can't have this. And I'm like, you don't have to count it for but 10%. It was only 10, 15%, but that should count for something, and that doesn't. So anyway.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, I don't, who knows what happens with Miami, Ohio. I don't know. I don't think they deserve to be in. Oklahoma is going to be quite the case study. And there's multiple factors, obviously one being the bubble is pretty soft. But it also goes to show you when you play in a league like this that it is a long year. I mean, y'all do realize Oklahoma was 1-9 to open, right? They lost 9 straight games in the SEC, including one against South Carolina, and they've gone 8-2 since with these wins in the SEC tournament. So when as it pertains, to kind of bring this thing home here, as it pertains to South Carolina, with as bad as things seem this year, and I thought, by the way, the graphic we put up yesterday showed gave you a pretty good synopsis of the last 3 seasons. I mean, it had all the stats. But as it pertains to South Carolina, and as bad as things seem to be at times, and they were, not seem to be, as bad as they were at times, you also, while we look at the collective record and everything that happened throughout the season, you also could look at this and you're looking for 5 games, guys. I mean, seriously, stop and think about that for a second. You're looking for 5 games out of the 32 that they played. 5 games. How do you get there? You know what I mean? Like, how do you get there over that hump to that fight? Like the mark in the SEC to be in the conversation now for the 2nd straight year, as long as you do enough in the non-con, is 7-11. Y'all realize that? You remember last year, Texas? Now, I know they had some good wins in the non-conference, and you got to have them. Carolina fell short in that category this year. But y'all do realize that Texas got in last year with a 6-12 league record. Now, you shouldn't aspire to be 6-12. Like, it's not where you want to be. How about 8-10? You know what I mean? Give me a couple more of these things. Let's safely slip on into this deal. But if you're Carolina, you can simplify this conversation a little bit and say, whoa, hold on just a second here. I got to come up with 5 more wins. And in 2024, they had a lot of wins, obviously. But there were you had 4, 5, 6 games in there that could have gone the other way, and they were able to make sure that they went their way. So as good as the SEC is, how many players is that, guys? How many players? Like, how many really good players is that? 2, 3?
3 would have done it. That was
3.
my whole question about it. They
Okay.
had 1.
All right. I mean, this thing isn't out of reach. Like, I'm not trying to give anybody like some life advice or anything like that. Hey, man, get back in your car, drive over the bridge. Don't stop on top. I'm not, you do you, whatever you feel like doing. But I'm just saying this isn't far-fetched that they can turn this thing around.
Not in this era, and not with the strength of the league. I mean, I think I made that point yesterday, Phil. I said, the mandate, I believe. I'm just going to say, I think it is a mandate. I think there's no way there's a year 6 if there's not a tournament berth in year 5, because, well, if you read Donati's statement, it's like significant improvement in the short term.
Yeah, read between the lines.
You never, and you don't want to come out and definitely say tournament or bust. They didn't do that with Frank Martin, but I can guarantee you that was the mandate when he got fired.
Yeah.
Now different regime, obviously, but because what if like his 3 best players get hurt, like
Right.
at LSU this year, Matt McMahon is kind of a judgment call because yes, they spent the money. They spent $10 million and finished last again, which shows you money doesn't always work out. And he's lost he hadn't done much since he's been there, but they were really good. And then they hit conference play. And I think in the conference opener, their best player, the kid from UNLV, got hurt and was out. And then they had another one. So look, something like that. So you're not going to sit there and say tournament or bust, right? Because that there's all kinds of variables with that. But I do think that that's the idea. But they won 26 games 2 years ago and got in. I think that it doesn't take that much now. And the league was good that year. I mean, the year before when Frank didn't make it, the league was way down. But this year, the year Lamont made it was good league. I mean, there's 6-7 bids. So as Oklahoma proved last year, they were 6-12 in the league and still made it.
Mm-hmm.
Texas made it, and 14 teams made it. They're probably gonna have 10 or 11 this year. So you're at 14th in the league now. You still got to get up in that middle range, which is where most of Frank Martin's teams were. And the strength of the league is going to get you in because your net and your strength of schedule is going to be higher most of the time. And so I'm with you. You're not talking about a whole lot of wins going the opposite direction. Now, I'll say one more thing about this. I think 24-25, that was a totally legit argument because there were so many close losses.
Yeah.
And if not even all of them, like 4 of them would have gone Carolina's way, let's say 5 to be safe. Because they did lose to like Xavier in the non-conference and Indiana, and they didn't make the tournament. But 4 or 5 go Carolina's way, they get to 7 or 8 wins in the league, they're probably in. And we're just like, oh well, Lamont got a bad batch of portal people. It happens. Let's move on.
Portal people,
the portal people, the PP. But so that's kind of what we're looking at. You don't have to run up a huge, beautiful record to make it in the SEC these days, but you do need to make it. You got to be good enough to do it. So
yeah, apples are not apples in what I'm about to say here. I think we all understand this, but if you took today's league and Frank Martin's records, that cat has like 5 NCAA tournament appearances at South Carolina. Y'all realize that? It's not apples to apples. I got duh. But his final season, 18-13, 9-9, shoe-in the NCAA tournament with that record in the league right now. The 19-20 season, even though it got canceled, shoe-in. They were 18-13, 10-8 in the league. The 2018-2019 season would have been a really interesting case study because they'd be right there kind of where Auburn is, but with a much better record in the SEC. That team was 16-16, but they were 11-7 in the SEC.
They lost. Yeah.
What?
Crazy, right? They lost. Okay, so I'll tell you exactly what happened because that was a very weird year because it was like they were kind of rebuilding. Because the team after the Final Four team had PJ Dozier and Raw Felder just returned and they left for different reasons. That team's a tournament team. What Frank Martin got out of Frank Booker that year was amazing. And Silva was still there. Kotsar was still there. 2018-19, man, they lost to Stony Brook. They lost to Providence at home. They got beat by Wofford by 20. And then listen to this stretch, man. At Wyoming, one of the worst teams in the country, they lost. And no offense, that they were one of the worst teams in the country that year, Jamie.
Well, I know that, but I will say my father-in-law called me a week before that game and said, they better be careful. You're coming up to high elevation. You better get here early and get those lungs moving. They did not, and they got beat.
And this team played a heck of a schedule too, man. I mean, they at Michigan, they lost. Home against Virginia, the defending national champs, or maybe they were the national champs that year, lost. Played Clemson and lost. Played the North Greenville. They used to be called the Crusaders. I don't know what they're called now, but they beat them by 51. And that game got them going because then they go to Florida, and that's the game Silva threw the touchdown, or somebody threw the touchdown pass to Silva, and they dunked and won. They beat 14th ranked Mississippi State. They turned around and beat Missouri at home. They won at Vanderbilt. They started 4-0 in the league. They beat Auburn and Bruce Pearl that was ranked. Some of the losses, like at Oklahoma State in the Big 12 Challenge, hurt them. They couldn't solve Tennessee, but they beat Georgia. I mean, they won their share of games down the stretch, and then went out in the tournament. Yeah. They ended up getting the double bye to Friday. They were the number 4 team in the league, and Auburn beat them 73-64. But that was a weird team that I think maybe 2 more of those games. Certainly, if they don't lose to Stony Brook and Wyoming, I think they had a good case in today's era.
There were some good players on that team, for what it's worth.
Oh yeah. That team, it was one of those teams that just took a little bit to gel. AJ Lawson, Silva. I think Kotsar was injured a lot of that year, but they had some really good players.
Hey, two of my favorites in this era were on that team. A couple of young buck freshmen in Jermaine Cousinard and the hammer Keyshawn Bryant, who could throw them down with the best of them.
Okay. Michael Jordan half the time, and last season Zachary Davis the other half.
He could dunk, there's no doubt. You know who else could dunk? Stuart Lake. You ever seen him dunk a basketball on an 8-foot hoop? It's incredible.
No, but he's probably told the story before.
I don't know, but we'll ask.
He probably paints a vivid picture. So. All right, so I'll be back after the conversation here, right?
Okay.
That's what we're doing.
Whenever I figured we'd just give you some time off since you're going to already have 2 hours.
No, I don't want to interfere in the you and Stewart baseball conversation.
Well, I appreciate that. Stu asked me to keep you off the air.
I know he did. He did. I'm just trying to save face here. All right, see you guys after a while.
All right, we'll be right back with Stuart Lake, Florida, South Carolina this weekend in Gainesville.
Mike here for my good friend Troy Branham of Golden Gate Mortgage. Let's face it, it's been a rough go for mortgage rates the last couple of years. And now more than ever, you need someone on your side to get you the very best possible rate on a new mortgage or a refi. That's where Troy comes in. 27 years of experience working for you. Conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, renovation, rehabilitation loans, all doable with my man Troy Branham of Golden Gate Mortgage. And when I say doable, I mean the best possible rate that's out there. It's a phone call that can literally save you thousands of dollars. 803-238-0111. 803-238-0111. You can also check out the website ggmortgage.com.
Jeffrey's got space and a touchdown. Can you believe it? Touchdown! He caught it on traffic. Scores! Touchdown, South Carolina!
If your golf game needs a little help, McKellar Enterprises is one click away. Meredith Taylor, a former Gamecock golfer, fields clients from all across the country. Golfers of every level are enrolling in her well-rounded golf camps. They're improving their game through virtual and on-course lessons. And now, many are a part of the membership program that gives you multiple monthly coaching options to get better. Are you improving for fun? Don't want to hold the group back any longer? Visit McKellarEnterprises.org today and go Gamecocks.
Test ride at Electric Bikes of Charleston today. Road trip ready. Ride comfortably. Forget road fatigue. The Velotric Fold 1 Plus features our exclusive Comfort Max frame design for an effortless, upright riding posture and a low step through. With an adjustable seat and stem, you'll be feeling great and ready for the next campsite adventure. Your back will thank you. Visit Electric Bikes of Charleston. ElectricBikesCharleston.com.
New year, better floors. Now is the time. Refinish your hardwood floors with Recoat Revolution. Beautiful like new floors in just one day. No dust, affordable, and 5 stars. Give us a call in South Carolina, 803-397-1365, or visit us at recoatrevolution.com. Go Gamecocks!
Welcome to Dry Space Crawl Space Solutions. Basement crawl space encapsulation designed for your specific needs. Your crawl space can be susceptible to all sorts of issues, including moisture buildup, mold growth, and structural damage if not cared for properly. Let our trained experts provide basement crawl space encapsulation solutions to protect your home, improve air quality, and enhance energy efficiency. Schedule your consultation today for a safer, healthier space at dryspacecs.com. Dry Space Crawl Space Solutions, proud supporters of your South Carolina Gamecocks.
You're tuned into Inside the Gamecock, the morning show, part of the Chief Sports Network, proudly presented by the West Law Firm and brought to you in partnership with Game Day Nuts, boiled peanuts, no shells.
It is the final hour of the morning show on this Friday the 13th. Welcome back inside the Gamecocks, presented by Resto Pros and our friends over there at the West Law Firm. And somewhere along I-95, I'm assuming, is our coach, Stuart Lake. Good morning, man. Can you hear us? Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear me? Uh-oh. We got the audio, the never-ending audio issues.
I see Jamie.
Maybe Phil can pull him out for a second and see if we can't fix that off the air. How about that? It's in the meantime, I'll tell you what's coming, because tonight it's the Gamecocks are at 12-6, and it's 23rd ranked Florida down at Condren Family Ballpark in Gainesville. Gators come in at 15-3. Now, they almost got swept last weekend by High Point. They did salvage game 3, lost games 1 and 2, but they would bounce back and defeat Florida State in the midweek in a 6-3 ball game on Tuesday night. They've been home for almost every game that they've played this year, and they have not left the Sunshine State to play any of their road games. And tonight they'll throw Liam Peterson, and we'll talk to Coach Lake about Liam coming up in just a little bit. Liam fits the mold for Florida. He's a 6'5" right-hander. They all are, seemingly, down there every single year. He is 1-0 on the season with a 3.72 earned run average, and he's a high strikeout guy, 34 of them in 19 1/3 innings pitched. But the thing is going to be to get Josh Gunther going. Gunther struggled last week against Princeton, and that is off of what he did against Clemson just a couple of weekends ago, the performance of a lifetime. His first career collegiate start was a dandy, and he is now 2-0 with a 4.91 ERA in 18 1/3 innings pitched. Now, the thing with Gunther is he hasn't really walked anybody this year, only 5 of those through those 18 1/3, and he'll need to keep that up tonight against Florida. Amp Phillips gets it tomorrow, and he'll go against Aiden King, the sophomore righty, for the Gators, who's got an incredibly interesting line. If you haven't seen it, it's confusing because he's given up 8 runs in the last 2 games. 8. But he's got an ERA this year of 0, 17 strikeouts and 17 1/3 innings pitched. All 8 of those runs have been unearned, either via the walk, the HBP, or an error committed by his defense. Will he give up a run tonight, earned or unearned, is basically irrelevant for South Carolina as long as they can get some on the board. Phillips needs to get it going too. He's got the stuff, and they expect him to give him 4 or 5 innings this weekend on the road at Florida. He's probably been the most consistent guy this year, but we'll see what they can get out of him. And here's why that's important and why it's important to see how far Josh Gunther goes this evening as well, is because the Gamecocks have shifted to the TBA model for Sunday, and it's been viewed by some as, oh, here we go. That's not the way that they're looking at this thing at all. Riley Goodman still very much in line to start. They could go with Brandon Stone, or they could go with somebody else. They've put that TBA in there on Sunday to have a chance to win the series. So if they have to go with somebody in game 1 or in game 2 in a bullpen role, whether it's short relief or long relief or in a closer type of situation, then they will have to figure out what to do on Sunday. But the hope is maybe they've had to do that to win the series before they even get to Sunday, or at minimum, at least have a win in their back pocket and be able to get it done in the final game of the weekend series. Can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can y'all hear us?
Yeah, who are you riding with?
Well, I got Derek, the best driver in the business.
Well, it's probably we'll blame it on Derek. He's also got the lowest winning percentage in the business as a play-by-play guy, so we're going to need that to improve this weekend too, you know.
Well, we certainly going to try that, but no, we've been listening to y'all the first hour, so I don't know what happened this time. But we're locked in now, I think.
Well, it's technology, Coach, as you know, or as Monty Lee once called it, Wi-Fi. Oh, we lost him.
On Sunday, it sounded like.
You say that one more time. We lost you there for a second.
That it sounded like you were already at TBA on Sunday when we rejoined you.
Yeah, we were just going through the rotation for the weekend, and obviously we're going to get to the TBA part and get your thoughts on that in just a second. But welcome back to the SEC, right? Liam Peterson will get the ball tonight. He is he's an All-American, and he fits the mold for Florida right-handed pitchers. 6'5", and he throws 100 miles an hour. So, what type of challenge is Carolina walking into this evening?
Well, really, I think High Point may have given you the blueprint last week. I mean, the guy did have a no-hitter by the time they got to him in that 5th and 6th inning. You've got to let him run the pitch count up. If the guy is standing out there in the 7th inning and has thrown, 74 pitches, yeah, it's going to be a hard night. because he is legitimately one of the best arms in this league. So we're going to have to battle. You're going to take pitches, foul balls off, do some things to make him throw 18 to 25 pitches at least per inning.
I wrote about that in what's going to come out a little bit later on, our baseball bulletin. Put that in there today, as a matter of fact. But there's an art to it, Coach. You know, you aren't saying this. I certainly am not. We know Monty won't. You're not going in there just standing there looking at pitches and then striking out. That's not what this is all about. But they probably do need to cut down on the swing rate, and they probably need to shrink the strike zone. At the same time, Kevin O'Sullivan's guys always come after you. They'll always come after you. They're going to be aggressive in trying to get you out. So the approach for South Carolina will be critical, but it'll be different for some of their hitters based on what they do and don't do very well.
Well, there's no question. Florida throws the fastball. So they're not going to try to trick you. You're not going to see first pitch breaking balls a lot. Another big thing, and as soon as I see Kent Reichert, it'll be one of my first questions, who's on the plate? Because there's certain SEC umpires that when it's opening game, you know, that strike zone could make a Liam Peterson have to throw a few more pitches as well. So that's important to see how that is, because it can get kind of tight in that first game of the series with the plate guy. But you're right. It's not a case of stand there and take 3 pitches. That's not what we're talking about with word counts. You're going to have to get the foot down early and file off. This velocity is going to be legitimately 97 to 100 at times.
The flip side of that is Josh Gunther. Gunther obviously last week didn't have the start that he would have liked to have had coming off of a career appearance against Clemson just a couple of weeks ago. But we've seen it, and he's got it in there. And the thing that he did very well against Clemson, which is if you're a starting pitcher and you're doing this, you're going to have a good night, is he was able to throw strikes in virtually any count with any pitch that he used. And by way of doing that, he was able to get Clemson hitters to chase outside of the strike zone. So based on what we've seen out of the last couple of weekends from Josh Gunther against the Florida offense, who they'll attack as well, what does he need to do well tonight, especially early, to get himself in a groove?
Well, Josh Gunther last week, it was almost impossible to follow his opening act. We all knew that. We were hoping to get maybe a little more last week. But what Josh Gunther did for me that I liked last week is he never lost his composure on the mound, even when he wasn't having the success of the week before. So he battled, and he showed a lot of that. I know Derek and I were together, and I never want to say this guy's this guy or what. He reminds me so much of Kip Baltnight on the mound. It's crazy. He wears the pants up high. He's athletic off the mound. That's going to be important tonight with this Florida offense, and he's going to have to come off the mound and make some plays on the swinging bunts, as we call them, or a few bunts that they'll do, covering first base on ground balls. He does all those things so well, and I think he'll be a good matchup. This is a good Florida team. They're hitting 308. You know, they're 20th in the country in home runs. The one thing they don't do, which is good, they don't really run. And maybe they watch the Citadel game and say, well, maybe we'll try to run because they had 7 stolen bases. But Josh Gunther limits that leadoff guy. That's why the Citadel was able to do so much the other night. They got their leadoff guy on base 6 out of 8 innings. And you don't have to be a rocket scientist. If I can get a leadoff guy on, I can do things. I can bunt, I can steal, I can hit and run. So tonight's going to be really important. First 3 innings, Josh Gunther get that leadoff hitter.
It's a great point. It's a 6:30 first pitch tonight, a 6:15 airtime. One of the hardest, I know I picked on Derek for a second there. Derek, first and foremost, is the best play-by-play guy in the business, and he's probably the hardest working and most deserving of some victories as well. So all of you that are going to cut the game on TV tonight, that's great. But make sure you got the radio on so this duo can get you through 9 innings of hopefully a victory for South Carolina. I want to applaud Coach Maneri on something, Coach. You know, the Citadel game the other night, it was a bad night all the way around for South Carolina. They didn't field it well. They didn't hit it well. They didn't throw it well. It was a bad night. down at Riley Park, and you give your credit to the Dogs who were fired up and they played really, really, really good baseball. But Coach Maneri, and I don't know what he said in the locker room, could have been different. But publicly, his comment was, look, we had a bad game, okay? I don't need these guys thinking about this any longer than right now. We got to go to Florida, and we got to go play baseball, and we got to get ready to go. We need to just wipe the slate clean, and let's go play ball. When your head coach publicly gives a statement like that, what does that do for the locker room, a group of guys who feel a little bit embarrassed when they walk off the field in Charleston on Tuesday night getting beat like they did?
Well, I think it does a lot because we use that term flush it. It allows you to flush it the next day. You know, they took Wednesday off, I believe, came down here last night and practiced. Coach Maneri knows every game's important. You want to win every game. You want to go 56-0. We know that's not going to happen. But I don't know if that loss couldn't have come at a better time in a sense that you get to flush it so quick and get ready for Florida. If that loss happens and you're trying to get ready for Princeton, I don't know if you would have let it go that quick because you might have wanted to kind of, and I'm talking as a coach, you might have wanted to make your guys a little miserable for a few days. But what he was saying is, I ain't got time to be miserable now. We got to physically get ourselves ready to go against Florida. We got to mentally be ready to go against Florida because you come out of this weekend, I've told a bunch of people this already. If we leave here 2-1, the whole tone of your season can change. It's really important. Now, here's the beauty of the SEC, though, and Derek knows this. If we leave here 1-2, we're actually in good shape. That's what you're trying to go on the road in this league and do. You're trying to avoid a sweep. And if you leave with more than one win, you feel like you've just conquered the world because that's 10 weeks of this. It's 30 games of as much fun as it is. And it is miserable as a coach to just try to bounce back because, you know, not only you have Liam Pearson, find a way to beat him, and then you turn around and you got King on the mound the next day, a good guy. So it just keeps coming at you for 30 games.
You know, when you got to South Carolina as an assistant coach, your first go around, the guy who was in charge of the program then is a pretty good one, Coach Tanner. I'm glad you brought that up because one of my favorite sayings ever about the game of baseball in this league was said by Coach Tanner. Win your series at home, don't get swept on the road. That formula has worked every single year. It is rung true every single year because if you do that, right, Coach? If you do that, you guarantee yourself a 500 or better record in the SEC, and you are in contention to host, if not assured, a host site in the postseason. So I'm glad you mentioned it. You know, not that Carolina's trying to only win one game in 3 games. That's not what I'm getting at here. But if you win one, you feel good about it. And that leads me to this. TBA on Sunday. That could be viewed sometimes as a negative. Oh, no, they don't have a Sunday starter. I didn't look at it that way at all. I actually think that Coach Maneri and Coach Rooney and Coach Gordon collectively looked at this and said, we have got to find a way to win a game, if not win the series before we get to Sunday. Can you expand on that a little bit more and maybe what's behind that decision?
Well, I didn't look around the league. I'm shocked if somebody else didn't TBA because at this point in the year, that's exactly what you're doing. You're trying to maximize your pitching staff for the first 2 games. And, you know, obviously Brandon Stone may be the wild card in this. Is he the guy they're thinking maybe would be the Sunday starter? But Brandon Stone may come in the 6th inning tonight. He's shown right now, and Derek and I off air the other day said, I don't even know if we want to move him. He has handled the bullpen so well and just being prepared. And he's come in, what he did against Clemson, what he did last week. You know, he's got a calming effect on our team. I mean, when the big eclipse comes in, the other team don't score. And that's a pretty good thing usually when you're a pitcher. So I think the real card in this is what role does Brandon Stone play in a Friday or Saturday game? Because we've also shown that Valentin will stretch out. He's not a 1-inning closer. He's a guy that's already shown that he's easy in there for 2-3 innings. So I like this idea. And if I were Florida, there's no gamesmanship to this. I'd go, these guys are coming down here trying to win, is what it showed me.
Let me ask you on the flip side of that, Stone and Goodman have been the Sunday starters thus far. Riley still trying to figure out his control. Coach, I don't know. I'm leaning on you. I'm certainly leaning on you for this here. I don't know if you do need Riley Goodman out of the bullpen or you choose to use him out of the bullpen. He has only started games in his very short collegiate career coming off of that arm injury. And one of the things that he has done, I don't know, poorly is the right word, but I'm going to use it. I think that they could have done a better job with him to this point in getting his fastball command down first before they started going to everything else that's in the arsenal. Establish that strike zone with the thing that you throw the best and the hardest, the fastball, and then go from there. But also included in all that is preparation. He is only prepared as a starter. How much of a shift in gears would it be for a kid like Riley Goodman, who until this year had never thrown in college and now has only started in college, but all of a sudden would be asked to come out of the bullpen? How would they handle that?
Well, here's the thing, JB, that you and I don't know. That preparation, if that's what they wanted, could have started Monday. So you could have started talking a lot Monday about this might be a scenario. The other kickers, you got a guy like Stone who could be there with him to say, I've done this. This is how it's different. This is how you get in the bullpen. But then I become an old school guy too. Think how many big time major league games we've seen where Greg Maddux, John Smoltz, them guys ran out and pitched, 8th or 9th inning in a major game. So I'm going to say, toughen up. Let's go. You're getting to play. I jokingly say this all the time that when I went to my college coach, Randy Mazie, I told him I thought I should hit higher up in the lineup. And he told me he thought about hitting me 10th. And I said, well, what? He said, yeah, we only bat 9, so you need to be happy you're hitting 8th. So I got a little old school in me in a sense that I go, hey, you're going to pitch when we need you to pitch sometimes too. And Riley Goodman might learn that triggers a competitor in him that hasn't got triggered yet in college. Not that I think he needs that because I don't know him well enough, but I'd have that sucker ready to go because his stuff is good enough and above good enough. When he is in the zone, guys do not get good swings off on his pitches.
Coach Stuart Lake, somewhere along I-95. Y'all are on 95, aren't you?
Yeah, I was going to say, you got about 37 miles left, JB, because that's when we're getting to Buc-ee's. So however we got to wrap this thing up, I'm just going to keep you in a mile countdown as we get to Buc-ee's because we've just geared our whole day around this stop. Poor Derek's having to eat Fritos or something. Yeah. Okay, it's better than that. Yeah, I don't even know what those are.
Gardettos, JB, Gardettos.
So Derek's got Gardettos. I've got the best one. He brought me pound cake, and I got a Dr. Pepper to get me to Buc-ee's. You expect that in the show? Tell JC he wasn't seeing that story coming at him.
What, are y'all getting lunch from Buc-ee's? Is this a Buc-ee's brisket day?
I'm thinking yeah. Derek doesn't know. He's got to put me on like a curfew or time limit or something. I get in Buc-ee's and, man, that's right. Are we talking baseball or what were we talking? You gotta bring me back on this now.
I'm trying to find my notes currently. I was shifting through the Buc-ee's lunch menu, but we'll get back to it. Will Craddock has been fantastic. Of everything that happened against the Citadel on Tuesday night that was negative, he was not part of that. He hit 2 balls out of the yard. Matter of fact, Coach, I said, who was I talking to? Yeah, I was talking to Mike Morgan yesterday. And I asked Mike, I said, do you remember the year 2000? And I know you'll remember this. I said, do you remember the year 2000? South Carolina comes down to Riley Park. Drew Meyer makes his return home to the Low Country in the lineup for South Carolina, and he hits the baseball halfway up the light pole in right field. Remember that ball that ricocheted back into right field?
I sure do. I remember very well. I was coaching first base.
And I think, if I remember correctly, that was Drew's first hit of the season, first hit of his career at South Carolina.
Yeah, it went over the weekend before in the Saturday-Sunday series.
Okay. Well, this wasn't Will Craddock's first hit in his career at South Carolina, but the ball that he hit out of left field at Riley Park the other night absolutely would have challenged Drew Myers. Now, the pole got in the way of how far it was going to actually go 26 years ago, but there was no pole in the way of this one. Now, the umpire lost it in the sky, and it took Paul Maneri arguing to make him realize that, you know, that thing was 20 feet on the fair side of the outfield foul pole, and they eventually got it right. But I'm not so sure I can remember the last time I saw a ball leave Riley Park that loud and go that far out into the street. Can you?
No, I'm trying to think back. You know, I coached there for 2 years, and in my 2 years there, we had really good players. We had McGinnis went on to the big leagues. A guy, Richard Jones. We had a guy, you'll know this name, who might have comparably hit some balls, Sonny Mead. Remember Sonny?
Very well.
Bradford. We had guys like that too, and you throw in a Chris Swagger. That ball don't fly to that ballpark like that very many times. I mean, I'm trying not to sometimes compare him to Smoke and guys, but it's getting harder and harder not to, the way he's starting his career.
Yeah, it's you know, the old saying of it just sounds different, and it does off of his bat. Now he's this weekend is going to be a challenge for him, and I can't wait to see how he performs, good, bad, or indifferent. Because one of the things he's continued to do this year, he's started to hit the breaking ball. His at bats are getting better and better. He's ambush pitches. He's a smarter hitter. He's attacking. He knows what he's looking for up there. But this weekend he's going to see a bunch of draft picks. All these guys, I mean, a lot of the guys, if not all of them, that'll face Will Craddock this weekend are probably going to be in the big leagues in the next couple of years, and they're going to come right at him. Will Craddock doesn't scare these cats, you know, but nobody does. You know, that's nothing against Will Craddock. They will challenge him, and if he rises up to the challenge, I think what you're saying there, yeah, you'll start to hear some of the bigger names infiltrate the conversation with Craddock, and in that leadoff spot, we're going to get to see it pretty quick tonight. I don't think they're going to move him out of that order there. Coach, I was a little surprised when they did move him there. I was curious as to how he would handle it. And then when he went out of the lineup and Evans got in there, I think Evans had 4 hits in the leadoff spot. And I thought, well, shoot, the way that Maneri handles things, he's just going to leave Patrick up there at the top. Nope. Put Craddock right back into it. And he's just rolling right along. So, you know, is he, as a true freshman here through, 18 games, is he the heartbeat of the offense? Are we that far into the conversation, or where are we with him?
Well, you know, I'm not very smart. I don't even think there's a question, is he the heartbeat of it? I think it's clearly he is. Here's a number that jumps out to me with Craddock. That's why I think he's going to really be a star. He's a guy with the batting average. You all know he's hitting 432. That's awesome. He's already got his home runs. But this was a number I was taught in my career. Look at the walks and hit by pitches. Add those up. Compare them to the strikeouts. And when you do with him, you see 12. I think he's been 5 walks, been trying to look at my numbers here. He's already been hit 7 times. If that number stays close to even, that guy's a special type hitter that's getting the power and getting the production he's getting. This guy is not a swing and miss, 1 for 4 with a home run guy kind of hitter. I would have never been smart enough to put him in the leadoff spot, because I'm like you, the body, the young guy, let's just hit him somewhere. Maybe I'd have had enough guts to say 2, but I'd probably put him at 4 or 5. I don't see how you ever take him out of 1 as long as he's healthy, because it means that guy's got to come out and throw a fastball to him first pitch. That was his 3rd leadoff home run the other night, correct?
I believe so. Yeah.
Pitching coaches want to throw strikes early, and pitchers want to get the umpire to call strike 1, and this guy hits it 450 feet. So he makes you throw a slider first pitch, or makes you do something a little different as a leadoff guy. And then his coach said, I think it was Derek asked him one day, he goes, heck, I feel like it might get him an extra at bat, because the lineup flips over in the game. If he's hitting 3 or 4, he might not even get that at bat late in the game. So I certainly hope he's there for a long time for us.
I mean, we don't have to go too far back in this. I mean, there are actually some similarities here to when Coach King moved Cole Messina into the leadoff spot. I mean, that seemed very unorthodox, but it worked.
Yeah, and we don't know what kind of leader. I don't know Will yet. I enjoy road trips, and this is our first one because we didn't go up to Clemson that night with them. I get to hang around the kids a little more in a safer environment for them, because what I mean by that is when they get in the ballpark, they know there's eyes on them all the time. So in the hotel lobby or grabbing a meal, they let you know who they are. I'm excited to get to know Will Craddock a little more. Everything I've heard is fantastic. Even the people in Anderson and the guys I get to work with that know him. So I look forward. He's a guy I look forward to getting to know kind of as we start to travel here a little bit.
All right, I know we've probably only got about 30 miles or so left. We won't run the whole 30 with you. There are some things to me that are concerning, Coach. And I've discussed this a bunch and written about it as well. I mean, the numbers are what they are through 18 games. You and I have both discussed a lot the inability to control the running game. It has not been good for South Carolina. Now, I say that. I want to give Talmadge LeCroy some flowers here. He's had some exchange problems this year, but the other night on that hit and run play, it was a slider. I think it was a slider in the dirt. He picked it cleanly, and he probably made his best throw of the year to second base to gun the kid down at second. And he did that on a swing. The Citadel, I think you have to run 50 miles or something over there if they call a hit and run and you don't swing. As you know, you put that uniform on before. It's very important to at least attempt the swing, and they did. And LeCroy got around the bat, and he still made a nice throw, and he got the guy at second. But aside from that, it was a bad night. And I put the over-under at 4.5 on the stolen bases for the Citadel, and it ended up being 7, as you pointed out just a little while ago. Now, Florida, also as you pointed out, they don't run much. But Carolina might be tested by them and anybody else out there simply because they haven't been able to control it. The pitchers are all of them are all 1-4s and 1-5s to home plate. I mean, we had the stuff. We were watching Beck down at third base the other night and doing the same thing on the stopwatch. The math isn't there for South Carolina. Why do you think we're 18 games in and we haven't seen any variation to a slide step or anything like that from the Gamecock pitching staff? And with the left-handers, they're all going on first movement, and that's been working too.
Yeah, it's math. I used to always get with the catchers, and I'd say, hey, the average steal time, and I made half the stuff up like I do half the time still, but I'd say it's like 3.5. So I would always tell them, if you're going to be a 2-0, the pitcher's got to be a 1.5 or under, or our math adds up. And here's the deal, and this ain't South Carolina baseball. This is all of baseball. What does everybody talk about pitchers doing so much? Throwing hard. How do you throw hard? You get in your hips more. I'll sit and, I got issues. I'll time major league games. And those guys are not the times to the plate that we were seeing. There used to be times I look at my watch and you'd be under a 1-2 to the plate. I'll look at my watch in the World Baseball Classic. Guys are 1-5-3 to the next. When you're 1-2-5 to the plate, I have to hold longer, and obviously the time.
Uh-oh. I think we lost him there. All right, let's do this. Phil, while you work on that, just squeeze in a quick TO here. Let's squeeze in a quick TO. We'll get him booted back up. They're on I-95. We know the service is good. Squeeze in a quick TO. I'll let him know, and we'll get Stuart Lake back to wrap up that conversation and the rest of it on the other side.
I said, oh, Lord Jesus, it's a fire. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Emergencies and accidents happen. When you're in the middle of a fire or water event, all you want is for things to return to normal as soon as possible. Resto Pros of the Midlands is with you. RestoProsMidlandsSC.com. Open 24/7 when you need them. Quality that is guaranteed.
hardwood floors with Recoat Revolution. Beautiful like new floors in just one day. Hardwood, vinyl, laminate, concrete, tile floors. Any floor. We can do it. No dust, affordable, and 5 stars. Give us a call in South Carolina, 803-397-1365. Or visit us at recoatrevolution.com. Go Gamecocks.
Welcome to SEC Sunday Night, part of the Chief Sports Network. Every Sunday night at 8 p.m. on the Chief Sports app, the Inside the Gamecocks YouTube channel, and on our X accounts. Hosted by Rob Williams and Craig McMichael, talking the week that was and what's to come in the SEC. Join us every week for SEC Sunday Night on the Chief Sports Network.
Welcome to Dry Space Crawl Space Solutions. Basement crawl space encapsulation designed for your specific needs. Your crawl space can be susceptible to all sorts of issues, including moisture buildup, mold growth, and structural damage if not cared for properly. Let our trained experts provide basement crawl space encapsulation solutions to protect your home, improve air quality, and enhance energy efficiency. Schedule your consultation today for a safer, healthier space at dryspacecs.com. Dry Space Crawl Space Solutions, proud supporters of your South Carolina Gamecocks.
If you have experienced water damage, storm damage, fire or smoke damage, or need mold remediation, you need Resto Pros of the Midlands. Visit RestoProsMidlandsSC.com and go Gamecocks.
Tune in every Friday at 9 a.m. to the 4-Quarter Friday High School Show on the Chief Sports Network.
It's time for baseball, folks. There's a hot ball line to left field. Fair ball in the corner. The Gamecocks have the lead. At the wall. It's gone. Back to the track. Linson makes the catch. And you can put Spurs on this one.
Yeah, that is the voice of the Gamecocks, Derek Scott. He and Stuart Lake are on the road and headed to Gainesville. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, man, you look good. You sound good.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't know about the looks good, but
Got ahead of myself. Finish your point there. You mentioned the 1-2-5s. Used to see 1-2-5s, but that we're basically in the 1-4-1-5 range with the power arms.
yeah, and it's all over the place. That's what I was saying. It's not just maybe our guys. It's in the World Baseball Classic. You don't normally get to see our big leaguers compete in March, but we're watching them compete. So it's a spring training mindset, and their times are up. And it was just something that struck me because I'm a catching guy, and to see that, it just jumped out at me. So I think that's what we've got to really try to work on.
One more here on the I would say certainly the negative side, but then we'll finish on positive notes.
Yep.
We're in Georgia.
Yep.
You good?
Question me now is how to call him or just stay on here.
Can you hear me? Coach? Oh. Phil, I-95. You got to unmute yourself. Yeah. How about now? Can you hear us?
I'm not sure if you can hear me. I'm having a hard time hearing you, JB.
Can you hear us now? Coach? Oh. I think we might have lost him. Well, that's that. You got to unmute yourself too.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
I don't know. I heard something about Georgia,
Oh,
which means they're in a pretty, like.
well, if they're
dead
getting close to
area.
that Buc-ee's, I know where they are.
That's true. That's true. Give us a
There it-
thumbs up if you can hear us now, Stu, because I can see you. Okay, all right. Stu's
Can he?
back.
He can hear us?
Yeah.
I think we know where you are on 95. Yeah.
Yeah. If y'all hear me, I don't know where we are, but I know we're 14 miles from Buc-ee's. So that's what we're going. We're going old school maps right here.
Like the paper maps. All right.
Sorry.
Did you lose us again? Yeah, that's okay. We'll let him run. We'll let these guys get back to work. Derek Scott and Stuart Lake tonight at 6:15 airtime, and the game, of course, will be on the SEC Network Plus. The thing that I was going to get to Coach with, and we'll just talk to him about it next week, and maybe it'll be a much better and easier conversation to have, is defensively, it's not been good for South Carolina. I know that they awarded Will Craddock with an error against the Citadel the other night. He didn't deserve that. Now that was poor on the pitching on the pitcher's part for not being able to cover first base on a ground ball. But you can't award an error on there. You got to award a hit. And but they gave the E to Craddock. With that said, South Carolina is dead last in the SEC in fielding percentage. Not in my lifetime have they ever been dead last in the SEC in fielding percentage. And that ain't good. That's just, it's bad. Actually, it's bad. It's really, really, really bad. And I know there was another error the other night that was awarded to Talmadge because it was catcher's interference, and that's a tough E. But at the end of the day, they're still dead last in the SEC in fielding percentage. And Coach Beneri's really, really good at getting the infielders where he wants to get them. I think Harmon's actually played better overall than he was at the beginning of the season. And Bo Hollins is the best first baseman they got, and he's not an everyday guy right now. But they've come from everywhere. Pitchers, catchers, corner infielders, middle infielders, outfielders. I mean, it's been all over the place. It's been sloppy. If you get sloppy in this league, you will get beat quickly. And you can't be sloppy on the road against Florida, Phil. So they're going to have to – they got to play clean. They got to play clean baseball. And as Coach pointed out, he brought up the walks and the HBPs. That creates the big innings. And that has been a major talking point around here. Eliminate your swing rate or cut down on your swing rate and cut down big time on your chase rate. You almost want to eliminate the chase rate. And if South Carolina can do that, doesn't matter if they're playing Florida, LSU, Missouri, whoever, they can win. Mm-hmm. But offensively, they cannot go up there and have 2 to 4 pitch at bats, or Liam Peterson will be in the ball game a long time, and he'll be able to throw very well in doing so.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the talent that you could turn this opening game tonight into what game 2 against Clemson looked like. I mean, if he's nailing the zone and you're, swinging at absolutely everything, close or not, then it's going to be tough. But that I doubt we'll see that sort of command, right? I mean, it could happen, but the likelihood of it is he's going to be missing the zone a little bit. So use the narrow field to your advantage, right? Use it to your advantage. Take a couple pitches, get deeper into counts. It just makes sense. I mean, Coach Lake said it. Like, this guy, once you start getting his pitch count up, shows more inconsistency. So why not use that to your advantage? I think it should be a strategy that the Gamecocks use at the plate tonight, just to, see if good things happen.
Well, I'm going to be really curious to see what Coach Maneri decides to do with the lineup. And because generally we don't really know, but here's why. And this will be in the baseball report that you'll get in your inbox here in just a little bit. Not only does Liam Peterson throw the crap out of it, 97 to 100 miles an hour as a big, tall right-hander, but one of the pitches that he has really worked on, and he's when he's got it going, you can't hit it, and it's a two-seamer that will come in on the hands of righties. It is literally an unhittable pitch. It is that good. And so I could see a scenario where Coach is going to try to get more left-handed bats in the order tonight. Now, does that mean that Aaron Jamison is in there? Who does that pull out? does he look at a guy like Sutter or like Harmon and think that they might not be a good matchup for Liam Peterson? If it was me, I wouldn't pull Logan Sutter out of the game. I think that he the other night he had a tough night. That's going to be the year for Logan Sutter. He's going to go 3 for 4 with a home run, and then the next day he's going to go 0 for 3 or 0 for 4 or 1 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts. You're going to have to live with that. Like you can't juice him in and out of there like that. No. Maybe it's Harmon, but Harmon's kind of played your best third base. But so if you make that change and maybe you move Evans over to third or something, you're going to give it up a little bit defensively, but you can get another couple of left-handed bats in there in the outfield and then maybe in the DH spot too. I don't know what they're going to do. Does this give Bo Hollins, a crack at this thing tonight to get in there? It's a tough evening to try to get him going, but he would hit left-handed against Liam Peterson. So I'll be curious to see what Coach does with the lineup this weekend against 3 righties, but in particular that two-seamer that he's going to throw tonight, if it's on, I'm telling you now, like if you're one of the guys that yells at your TV every time they swing through it, all right, we'll go up there and try to hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball that's a 4-seamer and then a 2-seamer that's 97 miles an hour that cuts at your hands in the final 3 or 4 feet before it gets to home plate.
Yeah.
The big leaguers can't hit it, so I know you can't.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
you see guys who are real professionals whiffing on pitches like that. And it's one of those hat tips. You're just like, damn, that was a hell of a pitch.
It's
it really is.
Yeah. But the thing is, for South Carolina, and this is where your approach is so critical. This is where this is critical here. You can't be behind in the count consistently against really anybody, but certainly a guy like this. Like hitting with 2 strikes against a guy like Liam Peterson compared to hitting with 2 strikes against a guy from Princeton generally is going to be 2 different planets. Yeah. You're living on 2 different planets there. So you don't want to be chasing pitches and you want to be able to battle, but you don't want to find yourself consistently in 0-2, 1-2 counts. And now that also doesn't mean you just go up there and wave at the first thing that you see either. I mean, there is an art to it. So it's an approach thing, and generally when you get a guy who's throwing that hard, some guys are looking to ambush something middle in the first pitch that they see. Because like Will Craddock, probably going to be looking to do that in his first at bat tonight. Okay. But as it goes along, you're probably going to see approaches shift backside. Like you are going to be going up there looking to drive something in an opposite field gap. I can hear Monty Lee saying that now. That's what you want to do. 1 pitch, 1 spot. And if it's not there, then we are going to adjust that approach on that next pitch. And then what happens from there, you'll adjust it again. It will be very pitch to pitch in a guy like this. And that's where that battle stuff comes in, and you make him throw it to you. It's going to be a challenge, but they can do it. And if Josh Gunther can match the intensity on the mound, South Carolina is going to be in a tight ball game with a chance to win it.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it's been kind of the hallmark here is you've been able to hang in there, at least from your pitching staff's perspective. I mean, it has kind of overperformed some of the expectations I think that a lot of us had heading into the season, especially after hearing about the injuries preseason. But, it's not one of those, and unlike the Princeton situation, you can't get down early. Like, you can't let them score runs. You can't error, I mean, you can't make the mental mistakes in the field against a team like this, or just like you said, that fielding percentage will start to show itself out. Yeah. I mean, if every 100 balls that comes into play, you're whiffing on 37 of them, which is what that stat indicates right now, then you're going to have some serious problems. And it's going to be hard to dig yourself out of a hole, especially if you're taking that kind of swing now approach at the plate, which is going to only extend Peterson's outing, right? I mean, if you're going to, the sooner you get him out of there, the better you are.
Well, every every 1,000 balls that goes into play, not 100.
Yeah, well, every 1,000, 37 coming your way.
You'd be fielding 630 if it was every 100. And
hold on, I had that in my head, but I messed it up when I was looking at something on the internet. I was looking at more numbers.
At that point in time, that's when you just call it off.
I need to focus on
we're out of here.
One number at a time here.
Craig asked a good question. How do you have time to know if it's a ball or a strike if it's 97 to 100 miles an hour? Well, first of all, you got a scouting report. So sometimes you're going up there looking for certain pitches and certain counts. I mean, you talk to a guy like Justin, it's hard to compare him to other people, but he was a scouting report guy. And so he would go to the plate basically saying, I'm looking for this. When I get it, I'm going to hit it. So when you're going off, when you have a guy that's elite, you're generally looking at a scouting report and playing the percentages in certain counts and things like that. But from a physical standpoint, how do you actually do it? It has to do with what they call broad focus and fine focus. Broad focus is you find something on the pitcher that equates to the arm slot. So your eyeballs can stay on plane with the baseball and you see it come out of his hand. So, for instance, the hat is a general rule of thumb on this. And arm slots are going to be different. Sometimes it might be 3/4. So you might be staring at the guy's nose. You might be staring at the guy's neck or his chest or something like that, depending on where the arm slot comes from. But think about wearing a hat, and as a hitter, you lock in on that. So when he gets to his release point, your eyeballs only shift from 60 feet away. They're only shifting maybe a half an inch to the left or to the right to be able to pick up the baseball out of hand, because you want to pick it up as early as you can so you can see the spin on it. And then it comes down to what type of spin is on it. Spin rate's like a huge thing now. You hear that all the time, right? Okay, well, Carolina's got a kid who they're trying to develop into. I'm not picking on Cullen Horowitz here. He's a young pitcher. He hasn't pitched enough. But Cullen Horowitz got his first action the other night, and he started pitching last year, and he's been hit hard in his college career, which is only like 10 games or something like that. Well, why is that? Because it's not a high spin rate. The ball looks a little bigger. It's not as tight. There's not as much movement. It's flat. So if you trust yourself, you trust your swing, and I hope that you do when you're at this level, and you pick up fastball, you can catch up to it. You might miss it once, you might miss it twice, but not often are you going to miss it 3 times if it's that flat. Believe it or not, even though it's 100 miles an hour. This kid tonight, all that stuff's elite. So you're going to be relying on a scouting report, and then if you get down 2 strikes, you're going to be fighting like hell and hoping that he leaves one in the middle of the plate and you're able to hit it hard somewhere. So we'll see what happens. But, certainly looking forward to this. Again, it's 6:30 airtime, about 6:15 airtime, 6:30 first pitch. I hate we lost Coach and Derek there towards the end. But anyways, at least we get Derek and Coach for the rest of the season.
That's right.
No days off. He flies in from Nashville yesterday, gets in his car this morning, on the road.
I was thinking about that too. I was like, "Oh man, traveling all over the Southeast today with Derek."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he needs to do some sort of like a blog or something.
Yeah,
I mean, he's got plenty of time on his hands. He doesn't do anything else. Just kidding.
Well, he said he was eating those Gardettos. Aren't those? Are those bagel chips?
I don't know. Well, and here's the other thing that sucks about what just happened. We didn't even get to play what I saw was it's going to be in all the, like all the best of awards, upstate, Midlands, Charleston, what's in Stu's briefcase. We didn't get to play that this week.
Oh, travel briefcase is a completely different animal. Like, what is he rolling around with?
Yeah.
That's interesting. That is interesting.
Yeah. And, what type of luggage supplies that briefcase? Is he a hard luggage guy or is he a duffel bag guy? What is in Stu's briefcase and how does he carry that? Like if you're a hard luggage guy with a handle on it, like you're in an airport, Does he attach the briefcase to the top of the luggage and carry it behind him with wheels? Is he a duffel bag guy over the right arm, briefcase guy left hand lower? You know, you walk with the briefcase low by your knee, duffel bag high. Like, what type of travel guy is Stu?
So is the briefcase large enough to just do it all?
I don't unless
I haven't
he
seen it, so I can't really make that call.
Oh, I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen the briefcase.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
It's not large enough unless maybe he's not going to change clothes this weekend or something.
No, okay, so it's a smaller one. Yeah, because I mean, a good sized briefcase, you could put, a few shirts in, a couple of changes of underclothes, maybe two pairs of pants for a 3-day trip. You could probably get away with.
No, I don't take Stu as that guy. He is pretty organized.
Okay.
I can't imagine he's going to pile his clothes on top of his paperwork. I just don't see that.
Yeah, so probably not a duffel bag guy then either, right? Like I imagine Stu's got at least a little one of those carry-on approved size travel bags.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's typically how I do like a 2-day trip.
Well, we know that they were listening to the program on the way down there. I'm sure I'll get a text here soon if he's still listening. I don't know. They might be at Buc-ee's by now. He might say the hell with that.
Yeah, right. I was going to say they probably are at Buc-ee's and maybe for the next hour. So it's a good thing the game starts at 6:30, so they don't have to go on air for another 6.25 hours.
The thing about Coach Lake too. Derek, we'll have Derek on next week, so we'll talk to Derek about this. Thing about Coach Lake, it doesn't matter what ballpark you're in. Doesn't matter. I've seen him obviously at plenty of Founders, Clemson, the Citadel. Where were we a couple weeks ago? Well, that was Segra, so that was still Columbia.
Yeah.
Wherever, it doesn't matter. It literally does not matter the ballpark. So a couple hours before the game, when you take BP down on the field and the Turtles out there and you're hitting, the radio guys come down and they chat, talk with some of the players, talk with coaches if they want to. The crazy thing about Coach Lake is he always knows as many guys on the other side as he does on the Gamecocks side.
I could see that.
He is the most popular guy in every ballpark he goes to.
Right.
It is so fascinating to me. And I used to think that was kind of Coach Tanner, Coach Tanner wouldn't talk to everybody, but he knows everybody. Coach Lake talks to everybody. And the other side of it too is they're all coming up to him to talk to him.
Right.
Because he's talking to so many people, he doesn't even know how many people are walking around going, oh, there's Stu.
Hey, look, Stu. Yeah, either that or you're just kind of like drawn to it if you don't know him, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh man, this guy's holding court over here. Let's go see what's happening.
Always.
Next thing you know, you got a friend for life.
Always. I mean, we were at the Joe the other night, and I walked in. He was actually up on the concourse. He walked over. I saw Billy. I was talking to Billy for a second. He walked over and starts talking to me and Billy, and within a matter of 5 minutes, I would say probably close to 80% of the people that walked by us on the concourse stopped to say hello to Stu. They didn't know who anybody was. More people knew him than knew Jackie Bradley. I mean, it is really fascinating. I mean,
and a sensation, Jackie Bradley, apparently.
I mean, it was it's pretty impressive stuff. So at least you know you're well represented. If you're at the University of South Carolina, you can send that guy anywhere. Send him to the moon. He'll know somebody up there. It's crazy.
No wonder he does work with the Gamecock Club, right? I mean, that just makes perfect sense for a personality like that.
100%. Like, I almost wonder, I've known Coach Lake a long time. I almost wonder, but he surprises you with little things here and there, you're like, remember, like Jessica Biel was eyeing him and all this stuff, all these crazy stories that come out of left field. You're sitting there talking about catching technique, and he's like, "Did I ever tell you that story about Jessica Biel?" And you're like, "Wait, what?" Hey, man, so I almost wonder if Coach Lake knows like 9 or 10 different languages, and we just don't know it. You know what I mean? Like you walk into his office, and he's fundraising with some guy from Pakistan or something who owns like a some sort of clothing line or something like that. And he's in there talking some sort of crazy Middle Eastern language, Arabic or whatever they speak. You know what I mean? Like Coach Lake would be the guy who does that.
He could. I could
He's
see it.
definitely got a wide palette of friends.
I mean,
there's not a single person that doesn't like Stuart Lake.
Well, and if there is, that's a you problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
True.
I mean, it's bizarre. It's bizarre stuff. Anyways. Well, any more brain busters, Rurudo?
We made it. We're here at the end of the first 2 hours.
What are y'all going to talk about now?
Probably
we're going to
switch to football.
Yeah. Okay.
FanDuel Sports is. What are we going to argue about, Phil?
Oh, I thought we were just going to yell at Matt about how Miami should be in the tournament.
No.
Not that I really care that much about it. I just want to yell at Matt.
I want UMass to go win this dang conference tournament.
That
now.
I do.
Yeah,
that's gonna help Miami get in the tournament.
It would.
Well,
honestly,
no, it wouldn't. They're not going to get 2 bids out of that league.
They're talking about it.
That would be lunacy to give them 2 bids out of that league.
Take one away from the West Coast Conference, because I'm convinced that conference, and I'm glad to see it split up with the Pac-12 coming online again next year. I think they manipulate the Ken Palm and I think those people out on Gonzaga and St. Mary. Like Gonzaga's one thing, St. Mary's and these other teams that get in every year and do squat. They're always really high up there in Ken Palm and the net. So
well, it's the same thing as the Mountain West Conference. They manipulate the crap out of it too. I mean, the Mountain West should never be a 5-6 bid league like they've been in the past. But isn't it funny? The most South Carolina thing in the world. Your season ends. Everyone in Gamecock land is mad that Lamont Paris is coming back, and then Frank Martin beats undefeated Miami. The very
national news.
Yep.
I pull for Frank.
Same.
I want to see him win.
You know,
Matt, what is where? Oh, here we go.
You know, in basketball, Carolina for years didn't have anybody that left that got another job. But the last 2 coaches here do have jobs. Northern Kentucky and UMass, Frank Martin, Darren Horn.
Miami of no way. Miami of Ohio. I mean, the Mid-American is the 14th highest ranked league in college basketball. They ain't getting 2 bids.
Akron was the betting favorite in that conference tournament.
I don't care. They won 31 games.
Because here's the thing: when you look across the power conferences, I think neutral court, Miami could take some of it. And I also think they also thought so heading into this season because nobody wanted to play them.
Hey, Phil, Wally Scissorback is not walking through
Wally
Scissorback.
Scissorback.
Wally Scissorback is not walking through that door. Oh, man.
That's a lot of years of Miller Lite just spilling out of you when you.
Yeah, the neurons aren't firing quite. Malted obs and bong resin, just kind of lingering up there.
Anyway.
What if Frank does get in with his UMass team and they end up making a run?
Frank's really good in the tournament. He just hadn't been a whole lot.
Right.
Yeah. But he's good. I mean, you look at his turn. He's never lost an opening round game in the tournament.
Oh, no. Wait a second. Wait, that's the Mid-American, right?
Yeah,
the Mid-American.
That's according to the net, that's the 17th ranked league in the country.
It's a bunch of Ohio football schools in Buffalo, and UMass joined it. And I think the thought process was basketball at UMass would cycle up because those aren't. I mean, they have like one good team every year, and the Atlantic 10 where they were playing, all those are basketball schools. So, the George Washingtons and George Masons of the world, St. Joe's, those two types of teams. So. Interesting move by their administration. They did it for football, but they're kind of a fish out of water in that league.
You know who would argue for Miami of Ohio? The great Derek Scott. He is a proponent for quit taking the 11th and 12th place Power 5 or Power 4 team and give it to the better teams in some of these smaller leagues.
I wonder if his loyalties, though, to Ohio would prevent him from arguing that point, like just philosophically.
He's a matter-of-fact guy, Phil.
That's true. He is a facts guy.
I'm traditionally a bigger fan of them getting in, right? Like, I think that, these kids that, my brother did it at Charleston Southern, right? They won the conference regular season twice. They never made the NCAA tournament because they lost in the conference tournament. Winning the conference tournament is so hard in a one-bid league that I'd like to see them rewarded. But, to Phil and JC's point yesterday, if Miami really did get blackballed by some people they wanted to play, Charleston Southern went to Kansas State, and Frank Martin told Barkley Radeball after the game, "We're never scheduling you again, ever," because they're just not going to do it. So how can you tell the pretenders from the contenders? I don't know if they don't play the same schedule.
Look, man, you can't give a team an NCAA tournament berth because they tried to schedule a team and based on hypotheticals. Yeah. But I get you. I just think 30. Look. And I'm hypocritical because in football, I'd be raising all kinds of hell. I didn't even think Indiana validated their program this year, but I still think that Indiana team that was 11-1 Signetti's first year wasn't worth a flip. And you look who they played. They played nobody. The two teams that did play, they got blown off the field. Now, this year's Indiana team obviously was different. But in basketball, I just think, and Matt's going to hate me, I think there's too much emphasis on stupid metrics and not enough emphasis on winning. And the players, frankly, play that way. They're not playing for metrics. They just don't. You've got a situation with all the money and all the transfers and all that, where you just. Look at Kentucky. They finally decided to play basketball right.
Well, they've also had two starters down for the majority of the year.
I don't care. It's a $22 million roster. This should be the freaking dream team.
They overspent.
Right from the Olympics in '92. Yeah, but I watched them play Carolina. Half their team just stood around, right?
Yeah.
And so you got all this in basketball, why don't we reward winning more? You took the win-loss percentage out of the net because Andy Katz doesn't like it because it's boring for him to talk about. It's stupid. And so maybe I'm a little bit getting on that bandwagon.
Man.
At the same time, Miami really hadn't played nor beaten anybody. So there's that. But I think metrics matter too much in a sport where winning has been de-emphasized.
Metrics matter to me, but at the same time, this whole wins above bubble metric they're using as a be-all, end-all this year, there's no formula that can really tell me what wins above bubble are, because bubble is so subjective, and you're taking however you make the formula. And I think the bigger issue, JC, is a lot of people don't understand what metrics actually show you. Like, Ken Palm's not showing you the totality of a season and saying that it's worth this. It's saying if these two teams played on a neutral court today and they played 100 possessions, then this team would be favored by this amount. But you don't play 100 possessions in a game. Like, you have to understand what the metrics mean to take anything from them.
I know, and that's just I think there's just too much. And look, it's true that the teams that are better in those metrics end up doing historically better in the tournament. But you're also like, by saying that and trying to, use math and science to predict the field because, these teams sometimes do better, you're taking the fun out of it because that's the NCAA tournament's about underdog. First weekend is at least about upsets and stuff. One thing I don't want to hear, because I'm tired of hearing, like we heard it all year last year, even though we're only a few years away from having Florida Atlantic and San Diego State both in the Final Four, that it's over for the mid-majors and stuff. I don't know if that's true or not, but we tend to want to jump to conclusions in the portal era. So I hope it's not, because I think that hurts. That gives the expanders some,
Yeah, if they expand this thing, it's the dumbest thing they could ever do. Honestly, what they need to do is go back to 64 and just get rid of the playing games, because there's not 68 teams worthy of NCAA tournament. There's not 36 enlarged teams.
No. Yeah. Last year was about chalk just about the whole way. I want chaos this year. I want some 11s and 14s and maybe a St. Peter's.
I don't think it's going to happen this year.
I don't care what you say, Matt. Take your Ken Palm.
That's right.
And shove it up your patoot. You and Ken Palm can.
That's right. What kind of a name is Pomeroy anyway?
Sounds like a cheerleader.
My dog's a Pomeranian. A mix. I'm not letting him back outside, by the way. 75 mile per hour wind gusts. My house was shaking.
My father-in-law got 109 at his house in Laramie, Wyoming yesterday.
I think that wind came this way. I'll ask Blake. Blake's in Missouri, so he knows the weather that's coming this way. But yeah, it's just crazy. It's calmed down now for the show. I think God's looking out for me.
Well, that's good.
All right.
All right, I'm going to ease on out of here.
All right, brother.
Let's go.
Coffee, weekday mornings with JC Sherbert. Watch or listen on the Chief Sports app, the Chief Sports YouTube page, available on Apple and Spotify.
When you buy and sell your sports and fitness gear at Play It Again Sports, you support a local business. We pay our customers for their quality used sports and fitness gear and resell it, recycling it back into your community. Support local, score savings.
So, Mason, what do you focus on in the law? My answer to that is I'm a personal injury lawyer. I like to help people that are injured as a result of somebody else's negligence or in a workers' compensation matter get back to normal. That's where my passion is. But what I want everyone out there to understand is more important to me is that I'm your trusted resource for any problem that you may have.
Visit westlawfirmsc.com.
Palm Casual Patio Furniture presents our coverage of South Carolina baseball and softball. Visit palmcasual.com today. Make your outdoor space the best it can be. Go Gamecocks! Visit GamecockTraditions.com and get your gear today. They'll ship it to your doorstep. Go Gamecocks!
Hey, this is Cornbread Cowboy, and you're listening to the show. We'll be right back.
We are officially opened at the all-new JT's Kia. You've got to see it to believe it.
We're serious about making your buying experience fast, friendly, and hassle-free.
Get grand opening 0% for 60 months on new JT's Kias. Put no money down and get my 1,000,000-mile warranty. I'm so excited. Savings up to $10,000.
I'll throw in $5,000 over book value for your trade. That's a grand opening for the record books.
Hurry to the all-new
JT's Kia.
Palm Casual Patio Furniture are proud supporters of our Gamecocks. We have been making and supplying the highest quality outdoor furniture you can find for almost 5 decades. If you use your outdoor space to watch the Gamecocks, make it the best it can be. Visit palmcasual.com or visit one of our 4 locations in South Carolina. Go Gamecocks!
The Aventon Adventure 2 takes the same basic design as the original Aventon Adventure, making it an adventure bike designed to take you places that typical roads just don't reach, allowing you to ride whatever terrain you want based on your whims of the day. Look at what you're getting. Hydraulic disc brakes, torque sensor for responsive pedal assist, great LED lighting, suspension, a beautifully welded frame with excellent build quality, included rear rack, included fenders. The list just keeps going on.
Visit electricbikescharleston.com for more.
Gamecock Traditions is your one-stop shop for all things South Carolina. From apparel to tailgating, children's clothing to kitchenware, jewelry, or even gift cards. If it exists at Gamecock Traditions. Ship it to your home via GamecockTraditions.com or go see our friends in Lexington. Gamecock Traditions, a family tradition. Go Gamecocks.
Sell your quality sports and fitness equipment to Play It Again Sports and get paid. Recycling your in-demand sports gear keeps it available in your community. Sell, buy, trade, and win with Play It Again Sports.
Clowns are people too. Clowns are people too. Now I own some tiny horns friends and got me those red shoes. I don't know much, but know one thing that's true. If you don't know anything, just know that clowns are people too.
Now back to the clowns on the Chief Sports Network.
All right, welcome everybody back inside the Gamecocks, the show. A big combo show going on. A 3-hour tour here to wrap the week. Spring break. I like it. I like the little 3 hours on 3 hours on Fridays here, guys. I'm looking at too many numbers here, y'all. Like I've dove into like baseball analytics. Now I'm looking at basketball analytics, and quite frankly, even for a guy who really loves math, I'm a little burned out. I'm a little burned out over the past 2 hours plus of looking at freaking numbers here, and everything's bleeding together, like win percentages and this and that. And I'm looking at, what's the spin rate of the bubble teams, and it's starting to bleed in, and it's not good.
Yeah, it can drive you insane.
I laughed so hard, JC, at you. I guess I was listening to the show later in the evening, and you were talking about coffee, and you're like, "Look, I've done 250 of these things. I don't have any topics left."
I have topics. Like this morning, I actually sat there and brainstormed a little bit. I mean, I just, this happened last year during this week too, because there was a lot of angst about the other two programs, and football was on spring break, and so there's just nothing to talk about. I don't know if I had episodes that week or not. I may have taken it off, but I got to 250, man, and I was like, well, that's season 1 is over. Because I don't even remember the exact date I started it. It was in January sometime, and so I'm like, well, how do we flip over the seasons? So 250 is a nice number, so when I get to episode 500, it'll flip over to season 3. And I got some production stuff, some different stuff I'm going to start using with it and all. But it sounds like a good time to take a break because, if I kind of blow it out, we're not going to have much to talk about on the show. Of course, the show has had no football conversation either. We're going to have some here in a second. All right, so riddle me this, Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And Phil, you can chime in too because you're in the orange fog. I don't think the Clemson South Carolina basketball rivalry is as big as maybe baseball, football, and other sports. I just know from my standpoint, if both teams are in the mix for the NCAA tournament, or if Carolina is, it doesn't matter, the outcome of the game. I sort of hope Clemson wins a bunch of games down the stretch because it helps Carolina's strength of schedule, those metrics, right? Especially when the RPI was the deal. But look, man, a case could be made. Clemson is the worst ACC job. If you look at, maybe not now, but if you look at the other teams that are in that league, I mean, I think SMU historically is not very good. Stanford and Cal have been better through the years, and every other program, even though, Georgia Tech can't seem to make a hire. If you look at the history of the ACC basketball, Clemson's down there. It's a football school. They care about baseball, and they care about softball, and they care about men's soccer. Basketball has never been something that's been completely emphasized. They jump up and bit somebody sometimes. Rick Barnes had a good run there. Purnell had a good run there before he left. Back in the day, Cliff Ellis was there a long time, and he had some really good teams with Eldon Campbell. But they stuck with Brad Brunell, right? Brad Brunell now is going to his 3rd straight NCAA tournament.
He's been there 16 years. Does it feel that long?
No, it's since 2018. This will be his 5th. After going his first year, and then they didn't make it from 2011 to 27 years. They didn't make it. So he's been to a Sweet 16. He's been to an Elite 8. He's gotten bounced in the first round twice. This is since 18. This is the year after South Carolina went to the Final Four. And then now it's going to be his 3rd straight. Now, question is, because we like to talk about conferences and stuff in other sports, and I know that last year the SEC was much better than the ACC. I think ACC is pretty good. They kind of bounced back this year, right? Is it a function of the ACC not getting their act together in basketball, or is this something in one of those things that maybe we haven't paid attention to around here because it's, the basketball rivalry isn't as intense or whatever, and Lamont Paris is 2-2 against them. But like Carolina's a program that went to the Final Four in 17. And if you just showed me this and said one of these programs is going to do this until 2026, I said, oh, it's South Carolina. And I'd be like, well, what happened between 1920 and 20, pandemic, whatever. But I don't know, Matt. You keep up with this. What's been the secret to Clemson becoming a pretty annually good ACC basketball team? They knocked off North Carolina in the tournament this week to kind of solidify things. And, what are they doing that generally that Carolina is not outside the obvious, which is that Brad Burnell does have, he kind of got out in front of the NIL thing, but I don't know, and I do think, although he's about as exciting to listen to as watching grass grow, not really a big personality, but I do think that he's a heck of a X's and O's basketball coach.
With Clemson specifically, they've been very opportunistic in some ways because, like you mentioned, the ACC has been down. But one thing I can guarantee with Clemson every single year is they're going to have extremely functional big men. And they're going to have those guys that can shoot threes and can kill you. But they have been a big man. They're not a big man NBA factory. But, just going through the past couple of years, I mean, that Victor Lahan kid they got who was 7 foot, I mean, he was good for 10 and 8. Ian Shefflin, who was annoying as crap, was good for, 10 and 10 every single day. They had PJ Hall. And then you got a Dylan Hunter type kid who can shoot. They always have good bigs. Even Chauncey Wiggins, who Clemson fans hated. I mean, he was adequate, but I'm just looking at the past couple of years of their resume. This year they don't really schedule up. I mean, they played Alabama and BYU this year, but that BYU game was on a neutral court. West Virginia and Georgia on neutrals. I mean, they're really ready for ACC play when ACC play starts. Mm-hmm. They've kind of hit their rhythm. But they're just flat out better. I mean, defensively, they're great. I'm looking at their numbers right now. They're top 20 in defense this year, top 20 in defense last year, top 40 3 years ago. I mean, it's part of the ACC. Great. If you just look at the ACC over the past couple of years, let's look it up. I want to see what their like this year. The ACC is ranked as the 4th best conference. Last year, it was ranked as the 5th best conference.
Yeah.
5th best conference. I mean, he's not playing against what South Carolina is playing against, and that helps them in almost every sport imaginable when you compare them to South Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it, and I'll admit, in 2023, I thought they kind of got screwed. I mean, they won 14 ACC. They played 20 ACC games, and the 20 conference games in that league, and they won 14 of them, and they didn't get in the tournament.
Well, the ACC was the 7th worst.
That's still a screw job, I think, in a power conference, but that's okay. But he's won 23, 24, 27. I mean, they were 27-6 when McNeese State beat them in the first round last year, and 18-2 in the ACC. Now, the ACC was hot garbage last season. This year, they're better. It was 24 games. I mean, I don't know how it's applicable to South Carolina other than it's probably annoying if you think about it. Because in 17, their football's rolling, and I think that the Final Four year they did manage to make the NIT and got beat in the first round. Then the very next year they're in the Sweet 16, and then you had the COVID period, and then all of a sudden Brad Burnell turns in, and he was a guy they wanted to fire. I mean,
there's still Clemson fans that want to fire him.
I would never want to fire him. He's been the best basketball coach they've ever had.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at it, I mean, if you're Clemson's basketball coach and you consistently go to the NCAA tournament, and you have the ability coaching wise which he does because he is a good X's and O's coach, when you get hot to make it as far as an Elite Eight, and had they not run into Alabama, I think they could have gotten in the Final Four that year. They were rolling at that point. You know, I think that's it. I think, I don't know. How does it apply to Carolina? I think that, you know, for most of my life, and I don't know about now, for most of my life, the South Carolina basketball job has been better than the Clemson basketball job. You know, Clemson, when they've hired a coach, it's usually they've gone either the mid-major route or like with Rick Barnes. Okay, so you know, Cliff Ellis,
Oliver Purnell, who came from DePaul. I think.
Yeah, I'll go back to Cliff Ellis. I think Cliff Ellis came from South Alabama, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so then Rick Barnes came from Providence. They promoted Larry Shyatt, who was Rick's top assistant. He ended up being the guy that replaced the guy. Oliver Purnell was next, right? And came from where?
Dayton. And then he ended up at DePaul after Clemson.
Dayton. And he was at ODU. And then he left. He actually consciously left and took the DePaul job. And then they hired Brad Burnell from UNC Wilmington. So they usually go and get like they're like a lot of SEC programs, go and get the next mid-major or whatever. You know, South Carolina, Mike Morgan said the other day, there's no chance South Carolina can pull a power conference coach. And I agree with him, you know, if they changed coaches this year. But if you look at the history, how many? 3 out of the last 5 have come from high major jobs, sitting high major coaches. Fogler came from Vanderbilt, Odom came from Wake, and Frank came from Kansas State. All 3 of those schools are better historically basketball-wise. Now, look, I'd be lying. Now the rest of the story, right? Eddie Fogler, there were some he wasn't happy with the Vandy administration, right? Because they kind of were jerking him around on his contract. And from what I was told, Mike McGee, the AD, once the Bobby Crimmins thing happened, he knew that, and he knew how he could get him. You know, Dave Odom, I think, was about a year away from getting fired from Wake. He actually got them back to the tournament. I remember the year he got hired, guys. I was not excited about it. I think I was in college in Columbia. I think I called Teddy Hefner's show and said it was a sad day to be a Gamecock. Because I thought that, you know, like in Braveheart, when it's like, unite the clans, unite us. I thought at that point, because that search, you know, hey, they almost had Tubby Smith, which would have been a big splash. They could have maybe, I mean, Jim Calhoun at least talked to them, right? You know, they weren't going to go get Mark Few, and then the powers that be didn't want to go get Greg Marshall at the time. He was only 2 years in at Winthrop. So it came down to, drumroll, Dave Odom and Bobby Crimmins. And I was like, they're kind of the same guy. Both won big at Wake and Georgia Tech. Kind of petered out at the end. Bobby Crimmins, pretty good recruiter on the surface. Dave can find players. Bobby's one of the Gamecock Nation. Let's just heal all the old wounds and hire him. And the Board of Trustees said no, because I do believe Mike McGee would have hired him over Dave Odom. So they got Dave Odom. So I was upset. Still, you know, Dave got out and took the South Carolina job. So it was Wake Forest. Frank Martin, I think, would have probably killed the athletic director at Kansas State if he had a chance, because they got into it over kind of a suspension of a player, and it cost him, you know, and that relationship had gone south. Coincidentally, that athletic director is the same guy that ran the most bizarre fiasco of a coaching search I've ever seen as the AD at Tennessee, John Curry, when he ended up getting fired and replaced by, as Johnny Majors called him, Brutus Judas Philip Fulmer. And they hired Jeremy Pruitt eventually. And they fired him because he wanted to hire Mike Leach. Go figure. But that guy's kind of a clown from what I've seen through the years too. So that's how they got Frank. So there's been mitigating circumstances, and you know, I don't know.
They almost got JT3 that they could have got JT3 when they got Frank as well. And
at that point, yeah, but hadn't he been out of coaching for a little while? Or was he still at Georgetown?
No, he was still at Georgetown. But
I know when they hired Horn, that was a name. There's some connection he has to South Carolina. that was a name that was being banted about.
Well, JT3 was going to be on BJ's staff if BJ got the job at South Carolina.
Oh yeah, and so was and honestly, I kind of, no offense to Lamont, when they hired Lamont, I was like, I think they should have gone with BJ Mackey. I don't know how that would have worked out, but I think BJ Mackey with JT3 would have been just fine. But anywho, I'm tired of talking about basketball, guys.
Well, hey, really quick, JC, I do want to talk about
we will talk about basketball real quick. Okay.
Like to Mike's point, like, South Carolina can't hire a sitting Power 5 coach. I mean, yeah, you're not going to go get Chris Mack from Louisville. You're not going to go get
Chris Mack's at College of Charleston.
Not Chris Mack, the other guy.
Pat Kelsey.
Pat Kelsey. You're not going to get a John Shire. You're not going to get Odom's son. You're not going to get Jai Lucas. I'm just going through it. You're not going to get Will Wade. You're not going to go get Lucas Lux. You're not going to go to the Big Ten and pull anybody. So really what I'm saying, though, is like you're not going to get an elite Power 5 coach, but you don't want the other ones anyway. Like I don't think there's a lot of great Power 5 coaches right now because you're not. I think a lot of them are in the SEC that are the up-and-comers. Do you want Darren DeVries from Indiana? Indiana doesn't even want Darren DeVries. So,
dude, that was they're stupid for hiring it. They should have hired Brunell. I mean, they went with like instead of the guy that's kind of boring but that wins, they went with the hot young name that dude had only been. He went from what was his story? He went from like D3 to Drake to West Virginia, or was the guy that replaced him at Drake?
No, he was the guy. He went from Drake to West Virginia. He took his son with him to West Virginia and Indiana. He got hot in the NCAA tournament. And like, would South Carolina fans be hyped up if I said, "Hey, fire Lamont Paris. We're going to take Indiana's coach." Oh, who's Indiana's coach? Darren DeVries. No, I don't want him.
How about
somebody else?
Well, if you look around the SEC, there's a mix of like when you look at when they made the hires, right? There's a nice mix of up and coming mid majors and then known entities. And then there's some known entities that frankly were cast offs for whatever reason. You got Mike White at Georgia, who's done a great job there. Florida was probably about to fire him. He was kind of an Odom situation. You got Chris Beard, who wasn't going to stay unemployed long, but certainly had some issues. Both these guys coached at other SEC schools, at Texas.
At Arkansas.
Rick Barnes was fired from Texas. Yeah, 2 former Texas coaches and Texas in the league now. And I think Tennessee's record against Texas is pretty good. It'll be pretty good. John Calipari, people were very unhappy there. So those are kind of the cast-offs that come to mind. Vanderbilt, mid-major, Mark Bynington, JMU. Mississippi State was the next school to hire New Mexico State's coach. They always tend to lose their coach. And that's a good mid-major job. And Chris Jans. Auburn, there's another cast-off. The ultimate cast-off. They hired Bruce Pearl. But now they promoted from within with Stephen Pearl, and that never works. Or rarely works. Florida, Todd Golden, the Golden Boy.
Gosh,
how good is that guy?
In South Carolina.
How good
I want him so badly.
West Coast Conference, net ranking and Ken Palm manipulator. And he is. And that's how they recruit. And again, they only spent $4 million and won the national championship last year. They're spending 10 this year, but that's still outstanding.
Dude, think about Indiana. I'm still going about Indiana because they could have hired Dusty May, and they decided to keep Mike Woodson another year.
Mike Woodson couldn't even coach the Hawks when he was why?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not to make Carolina fans nervous about keeping a guy another year. The ultimate keeping a guy another year, and Mike Woodson's an Indiana grad, and this is a grad situation and this impacted the Gamecocks was in football. North Carolina electing to keep John Bunting. Because North Carolina, a lot of their boosters had their eyes set on hiring Steve Spurrier. And Steve Spurrier was open to it, even though he's a big dookie. That was the thing. and North Carolina hit a long field goal and beat somebody. Maybe it was Duke at the end of the year, and they got to a bowl or something, and they kept bunting. So Spurrier sat out, and the next thing you know, they took South Carolina. No, Spurrier didn't set out. I'm sorry. They kept bunting, and then Spurrier took South Carolina, and then the next year they fired him. They hired Butch Davis, and that was a good hire until John Blake got it. But, you know, sometimes when you wait, it doesn't work out. Sometimes when you wait, like in the case of Clemson.
Dusty May, an Indiana grad.
Dusty May is a dude. How do you not understand? Like, why you not only go get Dusty May, you know, and see, everybody loves the AD at Indiana, and they're calling him a genius for hiring Cignetti, but he's the same guy that in their sport they've always been good at that screwed it up, you know. So Dusty May, as soon as he made the Final Four with Florida Atlantic, I'm backing up the Brink. I'm going to Boca Raton with the Brinks truck if I'm some school. And I'm not surprised at all the guy's killing it at Michigan. I was like, well, Michigan's going to be back pretty good. All right, so Florida, Todd Golden, like I said. Who else we got? LSU, their coach. They kind of like you hire the New Mexico State coach. Everybody hires the Murray State coach, McMahon. I think he's going to get retained again. Mediocrity. That means the next LSU coach will cheat his fanny off. And if you can't even cheat, I don't even think you can cheat.
I mean, at least with Matt McMahon, he made 3 NCAA tournaments, and he got to the second round twice. Like, I understand it. And I still think he's a good coach. And
yeah, I mean, his guys got hurt this year. The things would have maybe been different. A&M made one of the smartest, most out-of-the-box hires. It's hard to replace Buzz Williams, because I think Buzz Williams is a really good coach. But Bucky McMillan, that's like going and hiring the go-go offense guy in football. I mean, it's just so unique. Bama hired Nate Oates from Buffalo, one of the greatest hires of all time. So you got Buffalo, you got Samford, Murray State, San Francisco, an assistant, New Mexico State. Okay, then some retreads or recycles from within the league. You know, then Lamont, Chattanooga, we got to put him in. Mark Pope came from BYU, so that's a sitting power coach, right? Who else is even left in the league? I've got 16. Oklahoma. Yeah. They hired the hottest mid-major, who was a lot like Dusty May, in that Porter Moser went to the Final Four and then doesn't leave for like 2 or 3 more seasons. He had another really good Loyola team, and they got him. So Oklahoma hired him. I got Ole Miss, Mississippi State. I got Auburn, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina.
You got everybody.
I think I got everybody.
Well, here's the thing: what's going to happen in a couple of years, Jason. This is what everyone needs to get ready for. I would say in the next 5 years, I'm just going through Ken Palm. So starting with Duke, John Shire is going to be a head coach in the NBA. You're going to go through here. Kelvin Sampson is going to retire in the next 5 years from Houston. Matt Painter is probably going to retire from Purdue in the next 5 years. Tom Izzo is going to retire. Mark Few is going to retire from Gonzaga. Rick Barnes is going to retire from Tennessee. Coach Cal doesn't have that much longer left. Bill Self's going to retire from Kansas soon. So, I mean, you go through this. I mean, Rick Pitino at St. John's. I mean, there's going to be like 6 or 7 marquee jobs that are going to open in the next 5 years. So we're going to have a great reshuffling soon. And
well, yeah, and that was one of my friends who listens and was a member of the Big Spur that really, he's kind of like you, loves analytics and stuff. Good dude. He emailed me the other day and said it was actually a really good year to have a coaching opening at the high major level.
It would have been a good year, but at the same time, when you have that reshuffling in 5 years, if your guy's successful, you're going to be doing it again. So
maybe.
Well, we'll see. I mean, there's just, we all know we can switch to football because I think this ties into it, but we all know we're probably 5 years away from mega conferences and the entire landscape changing.
Yeah, and it's a shame. You know what I would do is, because there's all these issues around football anyway, I would kind of reclassify the sport of football at colleges and kind of set it up as a fundraising arm of the school rather than an extracurricular activity. Break it all off of the NCAA, just have it as its own thing, because it's negatively impacting the other sports.
Mm-hmm.
And then just leave everything else in the NCAA. Let's, go back to, the money's more in football. You make money in men's basketball too, but you can figure that out. Let's go back to normal conferences Where everybody, like it used to be, and get everybody on the West Coast, et cetera. And go like that. If they break football off and drag everything else with it, it's going to really suck for all of intercollegiate sports, right? Because in basketball, you have some schools that are basketball schools. They don't even play football.
St. John's,
Georgia, and the whole Big East. And we love those. Everybody loves those schools. That's cool. That's their thing. Like Southern Miss is ranked 5th in baseball right now. They have a chance in that sport. Oregon State has a chance in that sport. Fresno State was won a national championship. Coastal Carolina in that sport. If they're not even part of what you're competing in, and everybody's, would be better matchups. College sports are a reality television show in the sense because they organically are, and there's all this drama. If you script the reality television show, it's not so much reality. All right, do we need to get a break in, Phil, or are we already good?
Yeah, let's get a quick break in. Yeah.
Actually, no, let's just not. Let's just keep talking. Yeah,
we'll be all right. We'll be all right.
Yeah, I think
one thing on that, JC, like when you talk about football and what they're going to be doing, like I know that we're not big fans of the Big Ten on this show, or as the people watching this show probably aren't big fans. But I like what the Big Ten said to the NCAA, like with tampering yesterday. Like, just stop it. Like you're not doing it right as it is. Put a hold on it. Let's put real things in place and just forget all the previous tampering, because it's what we've said for months. Everybody's doing it. You want to be able to tamper 101. You don't want to be able to tamper 301. Like, you got to really rein this in. And you've been talking about it for years, JC, how there's no rhyme or reason for NIL. There's no rhyme or reason for tampering. And the NCAA might need to break away from football, because I think football is the biggest culprit.
Football drives it. Yeah. I mean, you could probably clean basketball up to a certain extent. Basketball has kind of needed a good cleaning for a while, because there was a big transfer culture in that sport before there was even a portal. But I think it's more manageable. Because all you got to say in basketball is, because you own the event, you say, all right, well, you violate our rules, you can do whatever you want. You can pay whoever you want. You can do whatever you want. But if we catch you doing it, and the burden of proof is not going to be high, we're going to ban you from the tournament. And that stings. That is nothing else that fines, whatever, because what you have is like, okay, there's a fine. All right, well, the man with the 10-gallon cowboy hat out in Texas, like, I still want you to go get this player and I'll pay the fine. How about that? And you're like, all right, well, screw it, But yeah, I think the Big Ten, there's another reason they said that. Every person you talk to in the business in football, when they talk about their players getting tampered with, the first school they mention is Ohio State. The second one's Southern Cal. I mean, that's a fact. I've heard those two. Everybody around here always talks about Georgia doing this, and that's a lot. That the people that talked about Georgia, there's some school of thought that Georgia came after Lenore Sellers a couple of years ago. No. Number one, he's not Mike Bobo's type of quarterback. Number two, they had Gunnar Stockton and everybody else there. The school, Ohio State's one of the schools. I do think Auburn was the big one with him.
Ole Miss.
Yeah, they're going all in. Ole Miss. But the Big Ten do it too. The Big Ten has a significant number, and Ohio State is front and center of, and I don't know how they do it. I don't know if it's representatives from up there. It's a large, rich fan base. But you hear Ohio State all the time. So I think that's part of it too.
Go back to the defensive end that South Carolina was in the game for, then he went to Tennessee instead of South Carolina, Ohio State. That was just the loudest secret in the world, that 4 games into his Penn State career, he was going to end up at Ohio State. So how does everyone in the world know about it?
Now sometimes Ohio State will get down the road with somebody and they'll be like, it's too much or whatever. I mean, they're a little bit more judicious after the $30 million national championship year. But as far as tampering and talking, I don't know how they do it, but they somehow do it. All right, speaking of football, let's get to that.
Yeah.
Phil put this up. Our friend Josh Pate put this up on his Instagram. And all right, we're going to have a bunch of these. This is from FanDuel. Matt knows all about FanDuel. And by the way, check out the Late Night Gamecock show. Justin Lyles, he's Matt and Alex's Rafael Esparza, and a Gamecock, so he can talk Gamecocks and point spreads. Here are the over/under win totals. I think this is the second year in a row, guys. There hasn't been one in double digits, but Texas is 1, 9.5. Georgia 9.5. Bama 8.5. A&M 8.5. LSU 8.5. Oklahoma 7.5. Ole Miss 7.5. Gators 6.5. Tennessee 6.5. Mizzou 6.5. Auburn 6.5. Vandy 6.5. Gamecocks 5.5. Arkin Piggy 4.5. Mississippi State 4.5. And it's weird. Maybe Kentucky's supposed to be 3.5, Matt, but it says 5.5. Can you look? Can one of y'all look that up on FanDuel? Because Kentucky's down at the bottom and it says 5.5. Maybe it's supposed to be 3.
Well, so like, okay, just off the cuff, JC, when I see this, South Carolina 5.5, okay, Kent State and Towson, and then the 3 teams below them are teams that have lower win-loss totals, over under for win-losses or wins. So it's basically saying that South Carolina is going to win their 2 cupcakes to start the season, beat Arkansas, Mississippi State, and Kentucky, and then maybe win one more the rest of the way.
Yeah, Tennessee and Florida are both on the schedule, and they're only 1 game ahead.
Yeah,
Oklahoma's 2. A&M, I don't know about A&M, guys. Alabama's at 8. Now I don't know about Alabama either. I do know about Georgia. I think Georgia's. Everybody's gonna. Everybody's gonna. Now Texas has some ballers, dude, especially on offense. They got some great talent on that offense.
I'm showing Kentucky at 4.5, by the way, on
4.5.
Right.
Okay, so they're 4.5. Okay, good. So that's a typo. But yeah, and you got 2 of those 3 below you at home, plus Towson and Kent. I don't know. I look at it. I mean, Tennessee and Florida coming back on the schedule, guys, is interesting because Carolina's kind of owned Tennessee and Columbia since 2008. The games Tennessee's happened to come in here and win have been, dare I say, improbable. 14 and 20. Same time, you flip it around, Carolina's really struggled in the swamp, and they got to go down there. So I don't know. What do you think? What do you guys think? I think if you're the Gamecocks, it's good to see that 3 teams that, well, 1 team that stayed on the schedule and 2 that rotate on, while LSU goes off and who else went off? LSU went off. Missouri went off.
Vanderbilt went off.
Vanderbilt went off.
Yeah, Oklahoma.
I think that's a little comforting when you come out the schedule. But what do you guys think?
Well, I mean, this is the first time I realized it. Have y'all talked about it? The Gamecocks don't have back-to-back road games all season.
Yeah, I don't know that we've talked about that specifically.
Yeah, we have not.
So, I mean, that's a good thing. And then you even look at that Florida, Tennessee that we're kind of talking about, like maybe swinging this thing. You go on the road to Gainesville after Kentucky, but then you have a bye week to get ready for Tennessee at home. So maybe you split those, let's say, and that gets you to 6.
Yeah, plus Clemson. I mean, their expectations are not high. They were sky high for Clemson last year, but they lost a lot of their good players. I don't know. I think Clemson will be pretty good because that's how it always happens. But, I went through, this is my last episode of Coffee. I went through everything. I was like, well, what's a plus and what's a minus? And I think trading, LSU going off the schedule, and Arkansas coming on, positive. Ole Miss going off the schedule, Mississippi State coming on, that's a win. Florida coming on the schedule, Vanderbilt going off. I'm not buying, all right, let me just mention this real quick about Vandy. This is based on their 6.5 is based on star ratings. Okay. Of a player that played lower level high school football in Nashville last year. Okay. They lose a lot of players, They got Austin P in Delaware first 2 games. NC State, Dave Doran comes to town, dude. That could be an L. They go at Auburn. That could be an L. At Georgia, L. Ole Miss comes in, probable L. Then they go to Arkansas and at Kentucky. So, if you say, so 1, 2, 3, 4, but that's at Kentucky, at Mississippi State. I don't know, L probably, but maybe just give them 5. But then it's Bama, at Florida, and then Tennessee. I don't know, man. I don't know how. I mean, I guess the NC State game would swing it to 6. I just don't know. I don't see it. I mean, unless they got because Diego Pavia was so important to them.
It just hurts my Gamecock, my University of South Carolina degree that's hanging in front of me by 10 feet to see Vanderbilt ranked higher than South Carolina on a preseason over-under win total. Wow. Never thought I'd see that day.
Years are weird.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know. I think getting Missouri off the schedule, and I believe they were replaced. You're replacing Missouri with Georgia or LSU with Georgia. I think that's. I don't care what kind of portal class Lane Kiffin signed and how good he is as a coach and how much he's owned Carolina. I just think Georgia's going to be that good. So that's kind of an L. But most of them, even the little guys, like I'd rather play Towson than South Carolina State. I'd rather play Kent than Coastal Carolina because those in-state teams, they're going to play a little harder. Right?
Yeah, they got more pride to play for down here.
So
it'll be interesting.
Sorry, I'm looking at Georgia's schedule right now.
Yeah.
Yes. Georgia's, It's
9.5 line too little on Georgia's schedule. I mean, it's just an SEC schedule in Georgia Tech with no Haynes King. I mean, that they'll get 11 wins. Mark it down. That's too little.
And Tennessee State and the Hilltoppers, then they go out to Arkansas. Oklahoma comes in. Let's see, Oklahoma. Vanderbilt comes in at Alabama. That's one they probably would like to get. Auburn, Auburn comes in, and it's with the Georgia benefits. And look, I'm never going to say anything about Georgia's schedule the last 2 years because I think it was tough when you got to play Ole Miss and Texas. But in most years, when Florida and Auburn as down as they've been, those are two of their teams they play they're going to want to play every single year, guys. They play them every single year. Auburn and Georgia have played every year since the Civil War. I mean, it's and when they're down, that's 2 of Georgia's big games that they should probably roll. That said, I'll never say anything about Georgia not having a tough schedule, although this year in particular, I mean, let's just say it looks favorable.
So far as SEC schedules go.
Yeah, I mean, there's some people hyping Missouri because of Austin Simmons, but man, I don't know. Austin Simmons looked like crap. And we have a small sample size, but I thought when I watched Austin Simmons play against Kentucky, I was like, Ole Miss isn't going to be as good. And then here comes Trinidad Chambliss. This is the dangest thing I've ever seen. So I don't know. Nobody on you look at Georgia's schedule, there's nobody that you think cycling up this year, like Texas would be cycling up.
Well, Georgia and Texas avoid each other. I mean, Texas has Ohio State in the non-con.
Yeah.
Alabama has Florida State. Lucky Alabama.
Revenge game.
I mean,
I'm not. I don't know. South Carolina. Harrison says, by the way, in the chat box. I think they're over 5.5 pretty easy. I'll say this: when South Carolina's win-loss total is on the low side, they tend to beat it. I think it was something like 6 out of the last 7 years they have.
Yeah.
When it's above, when it's like 7, like it was last year, history does tell us to be a little cautious.
Well, I think Shane Beamer had beaten the preseason win total every year except for last year. So 6 out of 7 makes sense there.
Yeah. Will Muschamp did his first 3 years too, because even in 18 when they were kind of a disappointing 7-6, I think that one was 6, right at 6. And Spurrier did it most years too, so it's kind of interesting. Robert says they base everything off last year, so these numbers mean nothing. I don't know, man. I think they've at least, Robert, glanced at next year. So
I would say this coming from FanDuel is probably a bit more informed than just like some ESPN talking head telling you what his over-under totals are.
I mean, Oklahoma at 7.5. I'm looking at it. I mean, they go to the big house, so they go to Michigan, but then I mean they have Georgia, Texas, and so Georgia and Texas back-to-back weeks. That sucks. And then Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Missouri. I would take Oklahoma's. I take over 7.5 for them. That defense ain't going anywhere. John Mateer's back. Another year in that offense with his offensive coordinator. Whew.
They lost 4 of their top 6 linebackers. Here's the thing about Oklahoma with Brent Venables' defense, and it is nasty, but there are times when if you figure them out and you have a good play caller, you're going to get chunk plays against them. It happened at Clemson a lot. Not a lot, but when they weren't on a roll. He's a very rhythmic defensive play caller. Like he's either in the zone or he meets his match. And they lost 4 of their top 6 linebackers off last year's team. I don't see any planet where Oklahoma's struggling to recruit linebackers, but that's a tough game. That's probably, to me, Georgia and Oklahoma or Carolina's two. Those are the 2 you circle and go tall task, right? I'm not really, after the last 2 years and then all the personnel losses, I'm not so intimidated by the Gamecocks going to Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
Would I have rather them had Auburn? Yeah. But
I'm not intimidated to go to Tuscaloosa if it's a day game. If it's a night game, I don't want any part of it. I'll put it that way.
I'm not, I hate that Carolina's got to go down to the swamp just because bad things happen, even when they're a better team. Tennessee's always going to be kind of scary because, they score a bunch of points, but at Oklahoma, that's tough. Depending on how good, but A&M at home, I mean, Carolina's handled them pretty well and even should have won this past year. At Arkansas is a mystery because it's in November. It can get cold out there in November. And it's kind of a trap game because if A&M's pretty good, you beat them. And then you got Georgia and Clemson the next 2 weeks. And they got to go to freezing cold Fayetteville. Could be a trap game. But I don't think they're going to be particularly.
How about this, though? I'm looking at the Ohio State-Texas game. You can get tickets for $482 right now. If you want to go out to Austin, I feel like that's not bad. And you could probably sell those for closer to $750, $800 game week.
Let's go.
Right.
But Bruin says anything 6 and under, Beamer should be gone.
I
think if he gets to a bowl, it would be a judge. It depends on how that works out.
Who are the 6?
Like if you lose a bunch of games, like if you do, like Carolina sometimes does under Beaver, they'll lose a game that you shouldn't have lost. This past year it was Clemson. Shouldn't have lost that game. I mean, you look at Clemson's body of work last season, and then they should have won that game, And there was no Mike Shula holding them back in that game or anything like that. So. If there's a bunch of losses like that brewing and like close games that you lose late, then you can make a change at 6. But if it's just scenarios. I think anything below 6, another missing a bowl or a postseason. I mean,
you have to meet the minimum program standard of a bowl, right? That's where it's been set. Yeah.
They'll ask if Rick Barnes has a lifetime contract. Yeah, they just said just play out the string here. You got a job. But I mean, he's getting older, Bill, so he ain't got that much longer. What Matt said was accurate.
Yeah, I mean it's a roughly $6 million annually. Extends automatically every April 15th to 3-year rolling term. But when he decides he's done, he's just going to be done. I mean, let's see how old he is.
Yes,
Rick Barnes is 71. I mean,
and he's still coaching like a champion.
Yeah,
Tennessee's a great fit for him. I think Texas, the natives get restless if you don't take the trophies home. I think Tennessee, he stabilized it and he's been consistent and he stayed a while, unlike a lot of their coaches through the years, but had to leave for whatever reason. Oh gosh, Quantrell says 250 episodes. That if I'm a TV show, I'm in syndication. Yep, I wish. And Quantrell also said he'd take 7 wins and victories over Clemson and beating Florida and Georgia. And this wraps up our week. It's been fun.
Yeah.
I wish I'd had 2 hours with you, Matthew, but I did not.
That's okay, man. You got storms in the area, too.
Dream about next Friday. It is the second straight month we've had a Friday the 13th. That's weird.
Yeah.
That's
weird.
We've had it this part of this neck of the woods, too, JC. Friday the 13th.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When I said we, I was like,
I'm just joking. I'm joking.
In Illinois, it's Friday. Yeah, there's different dates up here. They're on
Every Friday's Friday the 13th in Illinois. Did you know that?
28 and a half days for every February.
They're on the communist calendar here, the Bolshevik calendar. Because it was like North Korea during COVID around this point. I literally one day thought I'd see a tank rolling through the street, my street. Don't go outside. All right, guys. Have a good week. Hopefully the Gamecocks pull it off tonight down in Gainesville and for the rest of the weekend. And Matt will be back Sunday night, 7 o'clock, late night Gamecock show. For the Mad Dog and Matt, it's JC. See you guys later.
See ya.